Not on purpose, but it worked out.
Well, and you said you were going down the night before, so that works out fine.
Exactly. It's just Beth's not a morning person. We're like, I just need 4 minutes from the hospital, so. Yeah, I got 2 minutes. Mayor, we ready?
You ready?
Yeah, we're ready. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Village of Ruidoso Council. It's March 8th, 2022, 1 p.m. If you'll join me for, stand with me and join for a moment of silence, and then I'm going to ask Pastor Rick Hutchison if he would give the invocation.
Father, we're very grateful today for these men and women who work so diligently to make this community what it is and what it can be. I pray your blessing and your anointing over our mayor, our council. I pray, Father, that you would touch our police and fire. I thank you for the men and women who work so diligently, Father, each day to work in this community to make it what it ought to be. We ask your blessing over this time and over this meeting.
Amen.
Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Can we get a roll call, please, Ron?
Mayor Crawford.
Here.
Councilor Salas.
Present.
Councilor Letterman.
Here.
Councilor Eby.
Here.
Councilor Cornelius.
Here.
Councilor Coughlin.
Here.
Councilor Jackson. Here. Mayor, all present. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you for that, folks. So if I can have approval of today's agenda.
Mayor, I move to approve the agenda with an addendum of removing regular item number 6, discussion and possible action on first renewal agreement with High Mountain Concessionaire LLC to operate concession at Alto, and also giving you the liberty to move items as you desire.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, Ron.
Councilor Salas.
Aye.
Councilor Letterman.
Aye.
Councilor Eby.
Aye.
Councilor Cornelius.
Aye.
Councilor Coughlin.
Aye.
Councilor Jackson. Aye. Thank you.
All right, thank you, folks. We'll go ahead and move on to today's consent regular items. We have 7. Number 1 is approval of governing body minutes, January 25th through the 27th, 2022 workshop meeting. This is the strategic planning. Thank you for all that work. February the 8th, 2022 regular meeting. February the 17th, 2020 special meeting. March the 1st, 2022 workshop meeting. Number 2, ratification of investment grade audit under the statewide price agreement, number 90-000-18-00017AH with Year Out Energy Services Company, LLC, for qualified providers of energy performance contracting services in the amount not to exceed $69,071, including gross receipts tax. Item number 3 is the approval of final change order number 3 for IFB number 2020-007B, Apple Orchard H 1979-S14, and the Middle Gavilan H 272-S3 well improvements with General Hydronics Utilities, LLC, decreasing the contract cost by $46,311.01, including gross receipts tax. Item number 4, approval of sewer line extension project for the new Region 9 Education Cooperative Facility to be located at 1201 through 1217 Meacham Drive. That's New Mexico Highway 48. Item number 5 is approval of award of ITB number 2022-004B to Pavement Sealants and Supply, Inc. for the laser road pack striping machine or equivalent in the amount of $63,777.00. Gross receipts tax is not applicable. Item number 6, approval of agreement with EcoServants, Inc. for professional services for community partnership improvement projects and services in the amount of $17,350, no cents including gross receipts tax. Item number 7 is to request to schedule a public hearing on April 12th, 2022 for appeal of Water Resource Director's decision to deny request to drill well H269-POD2 at 816 Carrizo Canyon Road. Any questions?
I'd like to make a comment, Mayor.
Make a
Since
comment,
we go
please.
there on item number 3, where General Hydronics Utilities had decreased the contract amount by $46,311.01. I just want to give thanks to our water team and the company in reducing the price of that contract. That was a good savings for us.
You bet. Can I get a motion?
May I just on that last item where it says decision to deny, I think our water resource director has made a decision, so I think we need to drop that too from the notice.
Item number 7?
Yes. Decision to deny. He's made a decision and it's being appealed, so that the 2 needs to be.
Oh, just the director's decision to drill,
No, to deny.
to deny. Get rid of decision?
No, get rid of 2, and it should be denying, because it's already an action that's been taken.
Oh, just make it denying.
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any issues with that?
No.
Ron, can we make a note of that?
Yes, Mayor.
That it reads director's decision denying request?
That'll be noted, yes, sir.
Okay. With that change, can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent regular items with the addendum and corrections to item number 7 as further stated in denying rather than to deny.
Second. Hey, any final discussion? Roll call, Ron.
Counselor Jackson.
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius.
Aye.
Counselor Salas.
Aye.
Counselor Letterman.
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll go ahead and move on since we got a group of folks here wanting to, I know, get out back and doing what they do best. So we're going to move to mayoral reports and presentations, and then we'll get back to public input. And so, item number 1 is we get the introduction of new village employees, which is always a lot of fun, especially we've got some pretty good ones here that we've met before and in key positions that we're really happy to fill. Number 1 is Adrian Garcia, certified police officer. Come on up, Adrian.
All right.
Say something in the microphone. Just, I know a lot of folks have heard you talk on the radio.
Welcome aboard, Adrian.
You bet. You come back here and tell us where you're from. Adrian, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm originally from Riverside, California. I moved to Capitan my last year of high school, graduated from Capitan. And I originally was going to come just for vacation, ended up loving it. So I stayed in Capitan, graduated. From there, I went to Las Cruces to New Mexico State University, got my bachelor's. After that finished, I moved back to California and did a couple odd jobs out there. And then finally in 2020, when COVID hit, I got laid off from the job, and then I realized that I wanted to go back into what I originally wanted to do, which was law enforcement. So I applied to the State Police Academy. I went to the State Police Academy, got certified, and now I'm here in Ruidoso. And I really like this community. I love the mountains. It's nice out here.
Great.
Well, we're glad to have you.
Congratulations.
Thank you for being here.
Welcome aboard.
Appreciate it. All Ryan Munoz, another certified police officer. He's brand spanking new.
Hey.
We had him on the radio yesterday.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard, buddy. Thank you. And I want you to come back.
Welcome.
Ryan, welcome.
All right, and he's not shy. He was on the radio too, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Ryan Munoz, I have prior law enforcement experience, just a little over 2.5 years. I originally grew up here in Ruidoso, did my freshman and sophomore year here, moved to Ohio with family, graduated early in high school. From there, I went to the military, got out in 2017, winded up coming back here, worked for the village for the water department. At that time, I wanted to do law enforcement because of my father. He was a detective for Ruidoso. He was also the chief for Ruidoso Downs. From there, I put myself through the academy at the JC and Hobbs, was hired on by Lee County, then originally went to Tatum, and now I get to come back home. So
Well, we're glad to
glad to be here.
Welcome
Well, welcome.
back.
Thank you,
Matt.
buddy. Anything we can do. And Tyler Forster, firefighter. And if you got to see the newsletter, he's in the newsletter. Got a nice family. And we're happy to have Tyler. Welcome, everybody.
Good job, Tyler. Welcome aboard, buddy.
Welcome aboard, buddy. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Okay, Tyler. We're not trying to embarrass you. We're just trying to get you broke in. So.
Oh, you're good. So I was born and raised in Roswell, just so the flatland. Did volunteer fire since high school. Was on with the BLM for 5 years. Started a little family and decided I still like doing fire, still like giving back. My wife's from Sholo, Arizona, so a lot of the same topography stuff that you guys have, so she loves it up here. I grew up coming up here for scouting and stuff like that, so still wanted to do fire, still wanted to do my passion, but I wanted to be home more, so made the switch from wildland to city department, so.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you coming. Thank you. You bet. Yeah, we got those some great additions, and also we have some promotions. Is Paul Najira here, Solid Waste?
There's
There he
Paul.
is. That's why he was here. Come on in. Solid Waste Operator, Driver Supervisor, and his promotion took effect February the 27th.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Been here a while. Congratulations, Paul. Thank you for your hard work.
Congratulations.
I'm the guy that put that garbage can in front of you.
Oh, is that it? Early in the morning at 5?
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Becomes a long day for you.
Yeah.
Those guys started early.
Yeah, I want to know something about you because I know you've been here a little while and you've already said that was your banker. And then you're the guy dropping off all the noisy stuff early in the morning.
Yeah, well, I used to work, my first job was up there at Camelot, drilling by hand all those ditches for those pipes.
Oh, wow.
With my uncle back in 75 or so. I worked at the racetrack, at the travel center. I finally got my CDL, and first thing they did was hire me to run the asphalt plant that I did for Paul Woods.
Yeah?
All my references passed away, but, yeah,
Well, that happens to us when we get older.
well, I'm fighting it. Yeah.
Sometimes that's an advantage.
I worked with Jerry before, and this is my second time back. I had to leave for family problems and all that. But I tell them on my evaluation, they asked for a comment. I wrote down, I love my job. Oh, next one, you need to do more paperwork. And I said, I still love my job. So that's, I've worked with Adam and all, whatever they need, the flood, the snow, all that road work above the sled area.
Sure.
So they just point, now I'm there.
Well, we appreciate you.
Thanks,
Thank
Paul.
you,
Very
Paul.
much.
Congratulations.
Thanks for coming back. We all miss Paul Woods. So. Next is Abelardo Lerma, Heavy Equipment Operator, Water Distribution. Did I get your first name right? Oh, awesome. Okay, that's a start.
How'd that happen?
I don't know.
That's a good one.
Well, it's thick tongue of mine, it just doesn't.
Congratulations.
Welcome aboard, thank you.
Sir, welcome aboard.
Congratulations.
So you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? So we get paid to talk once in a while, so you know, this
Really?
is your chance, man.
This is my third time coming back.
Well, we hope this is third time.
Yeah.
Charm.
Hope it sticks.
Finally, I got my CDL.
Okay,
That's about it.
all right, we're glad to have you.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, those are some key positions that we're able to fill, so we're very happy about that. Also, we have a proclamation to just really celebrate the life of someone that was very dear to most everybody in the community with all the things that she was able to do, and I see some of her family members here today. And so we want to give a special proclamation to Alicia, Pirelli, Antelope, and I'm going to read it right now. And then if you guys would like to come on up, because we want to recognize you for such a wonderful family. So come on up here. Everybody knows these folks. Sam,
That's her daughter, Sydney.
Sydney.
Hi, Sam. Sam.
Just saw you. Hey, buddy.
You've gotten so tall.
Yeah, I just saw her at lunch, so I didn't.
Hey, Sam.
Anyway, and if the council remains standing, I'd appreciate it, but this is proclamation. Whereas Alicia Antelope will be remembered and commended for being a teacher, coach, for mentoring and directing extracurricular activities to her children for over 33 years. And whereas all the children she taught and fellow teachers who worked alongside Alicia Antelope continue to express their gratefulness for her warm, accessible, enthusiastic, approachability, listening skills, knowledge, wisdom, caring sacrifices, and whereas Alicia demonstrated an atmosphere of civil and respectful synergy, not only through her teaching, but as a volunteer for activities in Ruidoso and the surrounding areas, including being a Keep Ruidoso Beautiful board member for over 4 years. And whereas Alicia was honored to be selected to the committee of the Governor's Alliance Against Drugs and selected to be the Educator of the Year by Phi Delta Kappa of Cochise County, both in Arizona. And whereas Alicia proudly carried on the same dedication of service to the Village of Ruidoso community as her family, the Antelas and Pirellis. Whereas the Village of Ruidoso wishes to express its profound gratefulness to the family of Alicia for providing a model of cooperative teamwork throughout her years of service in the state and local venues. Now, therefore, the Village of Ruidoso hereby recognizes Alicia Antelope for her outstanding and exceptional service to the village in exemplifying a distinguished legacy of servant leadership, and encourages all village citizens to recognize and honor her for her years of service to the village. Now, therefore, I, Lynn D. Crawford, Mayor of the Village of Ruidoso, do hereby proclaim March the 25th, 2022 as Alicia Pirelli Antelope Day in Ruidoso, and proclaim her caring commitment, impact, and service as an extraordinarily amazing. Coming this spring, a tree will be planted in her memory at Two Rivers Park. Proclaimed this day, March 25th, 2022 in Ruidoso, New Mexico. So we appreciate you folks.
Yay.
And just a small token of what the village, that we owe you folks for everything that you've done, and you have such a wonderful family. So if one of you would like to take this, and again, she will certainly be missed.
Mr. Mayor, councilors, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. She was most certainly a treasure.
Yes, very much so.
Now then, we have all the echoes in here, as the former mayor always called combatant, the eco servants. Proclamation. For whereas service is a hallmark of the American character and has the unique ability to bring people of all backgrounds together in common cause, and throughout our history, citizens have stepped up to meet our most pressing challenges of the day by volunteering in their communities. And whereas the AmeriCorps provides opportunities for more than 250,000 Americans to serve their country through service at nonprofits, schools, public agencies, and community and faith-based groups across the country. And whereas in the village of Ruidoso in Lincoln County, New Mexico, more than 250 AmeriCorps members and AmeriCorps seniors, volunteers of various ages and backgrounds, help to meet local needs at more than 18 locations in the village of Ruidoso by responding to COVID-19, providing nutritional, clothing and support, social support, tutoring or mentoring children and youth, supporting veterans and military families, restoring the environment, and responding to disasters. And whereas the AmeriCorps members and AmeriCorps senior volunteers encourage collaboration and partnerships, leveraging millions of volunteers in service and acquiring the support of business, foundation, and other local partners to increase the effectiveness of their initiatives. And whereas AmeriCorps members and AmeriCorps senior volunteers demonstrate commitment, dedication, and patriotism by making an intensive commitment to service, a commitment that remains with them in their future endeavors. And whereas through their service, AmeriCorps members and AmeriCorps seniors volunteers strengthen the lives of their families and communities within the village of Ruidoso and Lincoln County, New Mexico. And whereas national service represents a unique public-private partnership that invests in community solutions and leverages non-federal resources to strengthen community impact and increase the return on taxpayer dollars. And whereas AmeriCorps Week is an opportunity to recognize the dedication and the commitment of more than 1.2 million Americans who have chosen to serve their community through AmeriCorps, and millions who have served the AmeriCorps seniors and their community partners, and to encourage more Americans to follow their footsteps in service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Lynn D. Crawford, Mayor of the Village of Ruidoso, do hereby proclaim March 13th through the 19th, 2022 as AmeriCorps Week in the Village of Ruidoso, and urge citizens to thank AmeriCorps members and alumni and the AmeriCorps seniors, volunteers for their service, and to find their ways to give back to their community. Proclaimed this 8th day of March 2022 in Ruidoso, New Mexico. So, Stephen, you will come up, and can your people come up? And if y'all don't know Stephen, he stuck his neck out this year and ran for council. Got real close, and I pretty much expect to see him back in 2 years.
I hope so. I expect such good
All right.
Go. Thank
All
you,
right.
Stephen.
Thank you so much.
You guys tell us your name so that people know.
Thank you for your service.
My name is Hunter
Hunter.
He didn't want to give a last name, or you want it anywhere?
Thompson.
Hunter Thompson, like the Hunter Thompson. Yeah. Oh, okay.
All right.
And so we have people, millions across the globe are watching you on the internet. So you're next.
Thank you, both of them.
I'm Josie Parsons.
Hey, Josie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service.
Hi,
My name is Jessica Storm.
Jessica
Hi,
Storm.
Jessica, thank you for your service.
Caleb Walters.
Caleb Walters.
Thank you, sir, for your service.
Cyan Fossum.
Diane Possum.
Fossum.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms.
How you
Fossum.
doing?
Gavin Waldo.
Gavin Muldoon. Waldo.
Waldo, Gavin, thank
How are
you,
you?
sir, for your service.
Jake LeMay.
Jake LeMay. Big, all 6
Big
foot.
Jake,
Hey,
how are you, buddy?
you
Yeah,
doing?
good to see you.
Oh, this is yours. Yes. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate you very much.
You have to circle around. Most likely.
Okay, and is the RSVP go with that one too? Stephen, I think this one goes with you too. Can
He
you
gave
tell?
you the wrong, no.
That was
no.
Huh? Oh, that was yours, AmeriCorps?
Yeah,
Did I give you the right one?
yeah, AmeriCorps.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Never mind.
Thank you, guys. Back to work.
I'm a little confused.
It's okay, Mayor.
I do stay
Well, it's not
confused
listed
most
on
of the time.
here.
We're used to it.
Well, this is the exact same one.
Yeah.
So it's yours?
For RSVP.
Oh, okay, so you
They were
get that. So
merged
that's why
together.
the volunteer program.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna ask him. So, well, thank you very much.
Thank
And your program is always good.
Yes, it
And
is.
tell us how many volunteers that you have down there.
We have total around the entire Lincoln County 253.
Closer.
253.
253. And they fill positions for pretty much everything.
Yep.
And I mean, and that's what's so remarkable about every event that we have to turn out people that come in and volunteer. And I know you and Anthony do an awesome job of
Yeah,
it.
they do.
And I know of one volunteer here that participates on that.
Spotted her in the crowd.
Good old shipping.
She volunteers everywhere.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes,
Appreciate you guys.
thank you guys.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Amber.
Yay.
All right, well, the only one that was confused was me. That was good. So, anyway, thank you for that.
We got your back.
You do. And then, now then we get an update from Pastor Rick on the Hope Harbor Transitional Home Project. And I know, come on up, if you would, Rick, and then just touch that little round thing and it should turn green. And it's a speaker. There you go.
There you go.
You get close to that, you can sit down or you can stand. I know you preachers are used to standing up, so.
First of all, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the privilege of coming and sharing about Hope Harbor. We are very excited about the things that are happening. For 5 years, we have been in the process of working on this building that we were given in Capitan. Hope Harbor is going to be a transitional home. It will be the next step after a shelter, so we have the nest, obviously, here in Lincoln County. It'll be the next step. It will be for women and their children who are coming out of domestic abuse and domestic violence. They will have from 2 to 3 years to live there at Hope Harbor. We'll help them with education, we'll help them with job skills and with all kinds of things. We'll be working with their children as well. One of the things we know about domestic abuse is that it affects not just women, but it affects the children as well. And one of the statistics that we see over and over is that children of domestic abuse become domestic abusers. We want to break that cycle. So Hope Harbor is looking, to opening very soon. We are excited about the possibilities. Councilmember Cornelius has been amazing in this process. He has helped us in tremendous ways, and we are so grateful for him and what he has done. But we are looking at, hopefully, a little bit later this year, opening our doors and beginning this opportunity. Hope Harbor will be a completely faith-based organization. It'll be self-funded. There'll be no state funds or municipal funds at all. But it'll be for the purpose of helping these women and their children. On behalf of that, we are very excited that on April 30th of this year, Saturday, April 30th, we are going to be having an afternoon of hope. We are going to be doing this at ENMU Ruidoso, and we are inviting especially you, Mr. Mayor, and our council members to be our guests, and I understand we're going to have some new council members as well. We'd love for you to be our guests that afternoon. We're excited about the afternoon. We're going to have the Flying J Wranglers with us. We're going to have Delaney Davis and friends. They're going to be providing some music. We are also having the first annual Battle of the Chefs. Chef Brendan Gokenauer at the Jockey Club, who I know you know very well.
Absolutely.
Chef Randy Narveson of Cuisine by Design. Chef Jesus Chuy Carrara at Alto Cafe, and Chef Tony Gomez at Jockey Club Banquets. These 4 chefs are going to be battling it out for the title of Top Chef. And we're excited about having people come and taste their appetizers, and it's going to be a fun afternoon with the music and everything else. We also are very excited to have Colleen Wydell. She is going to be coming back into the community. Colleen was the first executive director of the Nest, very instrumental in the Nest, of course, here in Lincoln County, and very instrumental in Hope Harbor, this transitional home. We're very excited about this, and about this afternoon. We're calling it an afternoon of hope, a friend raiser. We are encouraging and hoping that people from all across Lincoln County will come. Hope Harbor will service not just Lincoln County, but all of southeast New Mexico. And we are looking forward to the opportunity of being open and looking ahead to what that holds for us. Thank you for this privilege and this opportunity. We have brochures, we have cards available that we will be sharing that afternoon, and obviously sharing with you. And once again, thank you for the privilege this afternoon of coming and sharing. And we hope to see all of you at our Afternoon of Hope, 2 to 4, on April the 30th at ENMU Ruidoso.
That sounds great, Rick. It really does. Does anybody have any questions, Rick? I like he called it a friend raising. A friend raiser. That's awesome.
We're excited.
And I'm excited to see Colleen back. I mean, I haven't seen her in a few years. And you were talking about it way back when I was on the domestic violence shelter with you. You were talking about this very thing way back then.
Yeah.
So you've been very diligent in staying after it all this time and working hard to do it. So on your fundraising and things like that, you said it's faith-based, so it comes through the churches. So, but how do people make a donation or?
It will. We can, we accept donations obviously from everyone.
Just directly?
Private donations through our Facebook page, which is Hope Harbor, through our website, www.hopeharbornm.org, and also through, on that evening or that afternoon, we're going to have lots of opportunities for people to understand how and why, what it's about, and what that means to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in. I know we had you on the radio. Maybe we can have some of the chefs come on
We're looking forward
and
to
talking about that. But that'll be a lot of fun. I have some favorites already in this one, but we'll be sure and be there for that. And maybe we'll need to put out a potential quorum notice or whatever. So
Yeah.
anyway, well, thank you, Rick. Say hi to your wife
so
for us. And
much.
thank you for everything you do in the community. You guys are. And then I didn't realize your son's over at the First National.
No, that's his
That's his
brother.
Brother, your brother. Well,
He's
yeah.
not that much younger.
Well, you know what? Y'all do look. Yeah, that's true. Y'all look like. But anyway, I didn't realize that he was this close here. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah,
well, we're glad to have all of you.
Good,
So
thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Rick.
Well, I tell you what, I'm gonna bubble off today all day.
Ben.
I wonder what it is.
We've got you.
Maybe I slept not enough
My
last
mama
night.
said if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all.
Anything at all? Yeah. So you're not saying anything.
Nothing.
Okay, we'll move back to. Did I get everything covered, Ron?
Yeah, we've
Go
got
So we're back to public input. Okay. Now we'll go back to public input. And so you're going to keep time over
I'll
here?
keep time. I got a
Okay, you
new
get
phone. So
5 minutes to discuss or to say your item because it's not a forum for discussion. So we can't really respond to anything up here. First item is Jesse Townsend at 525 Resort Drive, Poly Pipe.
How's everybody today? When do we start the clock?
when you state your name and your address, even though the mayor mentioned it.
My name's Jesse Townsend. We have a family business, Grindstone Family Fun Park at
There you go.
525 Resort Drive, which also used to be Grindstone's Stables, and we sold that a few years ago, right before my dad passed away. Which brings me to the issue of the black poly pipe. I don't know how many of the council members are familiar with that. That was slayed in about June of 2012. And my dad just made a handshake with whoever was in charge back then, so there's no paperwork on it. Over the last few years, I've tried to get something going about it. Recently, actually last Monday, I spoke with Eric Boyda, who is what's his title? Does anybody know?
Water Resource
In
Specialist.
conservation?
A little bit of everything, yeah.
Water conservation, which I respect and appreciate and agree with. I did present him with an opportunity that the village could lease an easement on for that poly pipe for $1 a year. And he declined that. So I told him I would like to visit with the city council. And if the city council doesn't think it has any value, then I'll take it out of my own time. But as of right now, one of the famous quotes that's always around Ruidoso is, without water, there's no growth. So if the village of Ruidoso would like to speak to me, I'm coming here with an open heart, telling you I'm ready to bury the hatchet. And if we can work together from here on out, that's what I want to do.
Okay.
So that's, took a minute and a half. Another minute and a half would be, does anybody know on the Fisherman's parking lot, if that's on the master plan?
Well, again, this isn't the forum where we can discuss things, but what the questions that you're asking, we can get the answers to them and make sure that we get them back to you.
Okay, those are the questions. Is it on the master plan? Do we have a timeline of when that's gonna be finished?
Okay.
And I would like to know more about that.
Ron, you got all that? Okay, and we'll get back to answers with both your,
And if anybody wants to contact me, my number is 805-234-8517. Most of the time, I'm on a tractor at 525 Resort Drive. You wanna come visit with me? Bring me a cup of coffee.
okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And then, next is Steve Turner off Main Road, and he wants to talk about scouting.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilman, and all the fine folks of Ruidoso and Lincoln County.
And to the millions,
And to the
millions that are watching around the world.
There you go. There you go. Well, my name is Steve Turner, and today I'm talking about scouting. Just about 2 years ago, I joined the scout organization at Holy Mount Episcopal Church. At that time, there was a committee with a leader, a treasurer, advancement coordinator, cub master, den leader, Webelow leader, scout master, and lots of adult support. Shortly after that, I went to Roswell Scout Office. My grandson from Dallas, who is working on his Eagle for scouting, was here during spring break, and he went with me. I bought 2 brand-new scout uniforms that up until last week have never been worn. My grandson, Luke, wanted to help the scout organization, so we bought a library of merit badge books, song books, and other scout books. He wanted to give it to the he wanted to give the library to the troop because that's the kind of kid he is. The library has not been gifted to the troop because COVID hit us and tore the organization apart. Maybe soon the gift will be delivered because tonight we are reorganizing the Scout 95 organization at Holy Mount Episcopal Church. We have tried twice since COVID hit, once in September when no kids showed up, and again in January when the Omicron kicked in. Tonight at 6 o'clock at Holy Mount Episcopal Church, we are having a
Scam?
a family scout night. We are having pizza, which, by the way, the kids are really excited about. We're having the Ruidoso Police Department with patrol cars to help keep the kids busy for a while. And then we will let the kids fix s'mores in that order. And the guy with the police department was really happy to know that we were going to do the s'mores after we looked at his cars. Okay, so I was putting up signs at businesses last week when several people asked if I needed money for the Scout organization. I explained to them that I didn't need money because I have no kids yet. The Scout office has helped us with contacts at the Boys and Girls Club, at White Mountain, and at Sierra Vista schools. We're looking for kids. And with the help of the ENMU Ruidoso, we have printed and handed out about 800 flyers to kids.
2 minutes left, Steve.
Pizzas for tonight have been donated. Tim Coughlin has offered more help than I can ever thank him for. Thanks, Tim. Last week at ENMU, there was a job fair. We had a table there, not to offer a job, but to look for volunteers. I have to admit that when William Hooper at Workforce suggested we attend, I thought he was nuts. But that's where I met our deputy police chief and some folks from Albertsons that offered support and several people that discussed volunteering. We need adult volunteers. For all the council members and all the other folks here today, this evening would be a good time to start. I'm sure you're aware of the statistics involving kids here in Ruidoso. More than half live with grandparents. A large percentage live with single parent. I've heard that kids are being left behind. I think in some cases, it's a lot worse than that. They are put somewhere, out of sight, out of mind. I have heard that some adults do not bring their kids back after the first night because it seems like all the Scout office wants is money and parents. I've told the Scout office 2 things. 1, reduce the amount the kids and adults are paying for volunteering. And 2, do not ask for money to join our organization. If they have the money, they will talk to us. Our priest at Holy Mount says the kids that need it the most have the least. She says we give money for housing, for food, for electricity and water. Do you think they have money for scouts? Fundraisers? For sure. But yes, we need volunteers. We have a plan to seek out leaders from the adults that show up tonight. We'll ask the adults if they know how to make s'mores. And we'll tell them their kids are out there making s'mores right now. So we will watch closely to see who steps up. Today I'm asking for volunteers. Anyone you can encourage to get involved. And I'm asking for your prayers and best wishes for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
And if you have any questions,
We got your number.
you've got my number.
Thank you. And then next on the list is Andrea Fernandez. And she just put Fifth Street
That's right.
Community.
Yes, sir. So Andrea Fernandez with my community report. I'd like to congratulate the new team members, those returning and those that are fixing to show up. I also want to congratulate those that had the courage to run, and also to thank John for your service. I'm looking for interested persons who want to make a cultural shift, one of stewardship and health. Ways to identify and align our values with our actions, symbols, music, art, celebrations, and more. Mayor and keeper those of beautiful people, we had eco-servants here, but remember when we used to celebrate Earth Day? So that's a way to celebrate your values. And it's an opportunity to have a cultural event, educate, enlighten, invoke, inspire stewardship. So I hope that we continue to celebrate beautiful things. The teaching of stewardship, I'm hearing this conversation come up a lot more in the work that you all do, and I'm glad to hear it because I second that motion. And the Zia symbol teaches of that as well, and so I'm excited to continue and teach our young people. Some things I want to talk about is better waste management, and as budget season is coming about. Mary, the other day you mentioned that plastic was getting expensive, and so we could all bring our own container and do that practice and save trash, save trips to the trash, save the amount, what it costs to bring it in. So it starts with us, so I'll just throw that out there because it's a new season. But also, my egg cartons I save, my jars, and, so we could really repurpose and do better with our waste and save money. I also want us to look at courts, corrections, child welfare systems, because I feel like there's brokenness and disconnect. And I know people who don't feel safe. They'd rather not call the police and get a child into a welfare system, a child welfare system, because there's more damage that could be done sometimes. And so that needs to be looked at. Let's see. Mayor, when you're on the radio and you're speaking with your opposition, if they're not there to defend themselves, be careful with the jokes. So sometimes they're kind of rude. And as far as housing, I would like us to consider a unique housing opportunity that I have that works for me. And it's that I live on Fifth Street, and I rent a room from a homeowner, and I pay $400, and I take care of the home. And she comes to town 8 times a year, and the rest of the time I take care of the home, and it's a lovely cooperative situation. And so how can we work on that? As far as continued housing, on the way up D Street, there's 8 homes that I can identify that haven't had anyone live in them for 3 years. How can we get those homes occupied? Some of them, Then there's people who have mobile homes that they can't get a loan for, so they can't sell it normally. How can we identify who those are and see entertain ideas that might be solutions for our housing crisis. Moving on, Lotus Recovery had a fundraiser. It's the event that is trying to bring in substance abuse to Lincoln County. They raised almost $3,000, so thanks everybody who supported, and we hope there's continued discussions about how we can get property, how they can get property, and meet the needs to take care of our people. Hope Floats treats DWI and courts and corrections people, and they need computers to help people get jobs and IDs and all that. You know of any? And then, let's see, I have a complaint against the village in the form of a lawsuit, and I would like to evaluate how my complaint can be recognized as a conversation, so that all parties involved can talk about what happened, what didn't go right, what could go better. I don't want it to be a lawsuit, but I'm not taken seriously, so please, how can we do better? Thank you.
Well, I guess that concludes that portion of the program. Now we'll move on to
Boards and commissions.
boards and commissions. We have none. We're going to do, Ron, would you give us an update on how we're going to handle the new boards and commissions?
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, we are planning on scheduling our organizational meeting on April the 1st. The first item would be the oath of office for the newly elected officials. And then we would proceed with the organizational meeting and have the approval of the boards and commissions. At that time would list each board and commission and the members of those individual boards.
Okay, we're going to Judge Bryant. It's going to do the swearing in.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, working with Judge Bryant for the ceremony of the oath of office. We're looking at 1 o'clock. That's the best time for Judge Bryant. So.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Thank you.
And then notice Camille's here. Do we have her on here for anything?
Would you like to be on here?
The manager's report. I mean, I saw you at the grocery store, but you were real busy, and it was your private time with your husband, so I didn't bug you. But we haven't seen you in a long time, so I'd like for you to just come up and tell us what you're up to. And this is not in the public input. This is still under mayoral report. So that's why they gave you the flexibility on the agenda. So
There you
It's
go.
very gracious.
thank you.
And wise.
We're glad you're here.
Thank you kindly. Camille Howes with the United States Forest Service. Happy to be here this afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I do have a few items I'd like to report. Good news. To begin, recently authorized personal fuel wood collection, 150 feet off of all 4 surface roads here on the Smoky Bear District. This is an effort to reduce hazardous fuels right on the side of the road, kind of a low-hanging fruit. We're pretty excited about that. Next is May 6th. We're doing a ribbon cutting at the Sawmill Trailhead. Very excited about this project. It's been a long time in the making, started by my good friend Jody, and delighted that we are bringing that to conclusion. The next item I'd like to mention is that the Midtown Mountain and RV Park are our newest contributing partner to the Smoky Bear Stewardship Fund. Very excited about that. And it's been a little bit of a slow-going effort to get more partners, but that is some new progress, so we're happy about that. Next item is Hale Lake OHV trails. We are working hard to get 3 trails signed by the end of the month. I was a little nervous when I saw the snow this morning, but we have actually one of the trails already signed. There'll be color-coded signage so that it's accessible and makes sense. Working on getting some maps for that, but the red trail, which is kind of immaterial in and of itself, but nonetheless, it's marked. And so we are pushing hard and excited, believe we can make our self-imposed deadline of the end of the month, and trust that we'll have some PR to go with that once we get a little further. We do have a parking lot currently when our engineers came and put the parking lot in for us, I didn't quite communicate that we wanted it a little bit larger. So they're going to be doing some work for us on Stetson Road at the end of the month. And are going to come back, since the dozer will be here, and make it about twice as long. So it'll roughly be about 300 feet long, about 100 feet wide. So nobody will have to back in. They can just pull in and make it nice and accessible. We continue to work on our forest plan revisions, working through the process. This has been a long slog for us as we've worked on getting our plan revised. We can say that we are near the end. We're in the process currently of evaluating the public comments that have come in, and so are very much still in what I would call a listening phase of addressing the comments, each and every one of the comments. So good stuff there. And then lastly, I was speaking with Ira Pearson at the Lincoln County this morning. And one of the things that I'm very eager and hopeful for is that perhaps within the next 2 weeks, we could set up a meeting between the village and the county and ourselves to talk about perhaps we might do a better job of calibrating how we notify the community when there's something such as a wildfire. I think there are systems in place, but I feel like we could do a better job to synchronize with that and maybe get on board a little bit better. Our public affairs officer is eager to help do a little more training with some of the folks at the county, and I would certainly offer that to any folks. I trust your folks are schooled up and dialed in, but all of us can get better. And so we're going to be really leaning forward to see if we can get something lined up in the next 2 weeks. We had a fire as recent as 2 o'clock this morning, and so it's here, and got a lot of seasonal staff coming on. It's that time of the year where we're spooling up and getting ready, but we feel like we are as ready as we're going to be organizationally, and we are ready to embrace the season. So delighted to be here today, and I'll stand for questions.
Okay, thank you for being here. Does anyone have any questions?
On the, oh man, that's loud. On the personal collection of firewood, you said up to 150 feet, they still need a permit for collection.
Yes,
I just
sir.
wanted to make sure that's clear and people don't go picking it up. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, it saves the cost to the Forest Service of removing that fuel. And people are probably going out there picking it up anyway, so might as well just allow that. So thank you. And I'm looking forward to the trails at Hale Lake. So are they going to be for the quads, or are they going to be wider for the
OHV.
side-by-sides? Okay.
Side by side.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Indeed.
Okay, great.
Won't be long.
Good.
I'm pushing hard, so,
Good.
all right.
I wish we had a way to get them from town out there without having to trailer them. It's just a hard way to get there.
Interestingly, we have just been working with Francisco Sanchez, I believe is his name,
Cisco?
engineer
Mhm.
from
DOT.
DOT, right? Both here and in Eddy County to, the county went, in both instances, went to the Department of Transportation and said, this section, could we authorize driving OHVs on the roads in this section? Both of those sections, we had no complaints, no qualms with whatsoever. So it is my understanding he is moving forward.
Awesome.
Through his channels
Great.
with that. As far as OHV use on the forest currently, if it's registered with DMV, it's permitted. So turn signals, lights, seat belts, so on and so forth. Nobody needs to change any rules. It's in place now.
Right, okay, so that's good to know. So have we had any progress made, on the lock gates and stuff like that with communication? On public lands where we had cattle leases or grazing or whatever, that people would take the trails all the way out there and then they couldn't get in, and so they'd have to drive back to phone range. And is there any conversations on how that's going to happen?
I have not heard any noise at all whatsoever.
I'm gonna start
about it.
forwarding the numbers. Because they call me when they get in town, because we have trail maps, and then they get out there to some of the areas that is supposed to be open and access, and it's locked, and so.
Well, I would welcome
So who unlocks those?
it's the familiar answer of it depends.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be happy to field those calls or assist in.
Okay, but is that not true that it's supposed to be public access, even if there's somebody that has grazing rights or whatever on that?
If the road goes through private land,
Mhm.
as though an in-holding,
Mm-hmm,
it is their right to lock the gate.
mm-hmm. And so if there's national forest on the other side of their property,
It's problematic,
yeah, so what's done about that?
not much.
Not much.
And it's the right of the private landowner to lock out their property
To fence out. Okay.
and to lock out,
Which is different from grazing rights.
indeed.
Grazing rights on public land.
And hunting rights and
Yeah.
other things that people have
But if-
leases for.
If somebody owns the property, I mean, it's just like, you don't want them cutting through your backyard.
Well, I understand, but there's forest, national forest on
On
both
the other side.
sides.
Well, and part of that is, sorry for
But who maintains
hijacking.
the road? That's the point, is the county maintains the road too.
But
I found out.
part of it is the abuse by the individuals that go out there.
Absolutely.
And then the property owners are going, forget this, I don't need this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if everybody would just follow, basic protocols and respect the outdoors, maybe some of those areas could remain open.
And then county money shouldn't be maintaining that
Yeah,
road.
I agree. Yeah, if it's a county-maintained road on private property, that's,
Yes.
shouldn't happen.
Well, they maintain it through to get to,
But it's private property, so.
and on the other side's forest. So anyway, anybody else have any comments?
Yes, Camille, when the mayor said he hadn't seen you around, I just learned recently that you're also seeing over District 1 operations that down in Carlsbad, correct? How are you doing that? I'm just amazed that you're able to handle both districts.
My hair has been on fire since I walked in the door,
I imagine.
but, we do the best we can, and it's many days, it feels unremarkable. I'm not able to make the impact that I would like, but one thing is for sure. I am doing all that I can.
Well, we appreciate it, and you're doing an excellent job. I mean, even here for us in Smoky Bear District, but Guadalupe, it's another big area that just amazes me that you're handling both of them. And also, I'm very happy that we're gonna have that open trail ribbon cutting in May, because if the counselors, if you remember, part of our parking ticket sales went to help pay for materials. Is that right, Rod? From Grindstone. So but we want to continue working, joining with you and other projects to go on, so.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Camille.
much, appreciate it. And it's nice to see Jody sliding down in her seat back there.
Yeah, she's dodging around, there you go. All right.
She's got the pom-poms to prove it too, so. Then we thank you very much for coming in. Next, we'll go to Village Manager Report.
Mayor, there's several items we have sent out a pretty detailed manager's report. As of yesterday and all this week, we have the Natural Resource Conservation Service back in town, reevaluating the river. There's three representatives from Ben Ray's office here and one representative from Heinrich's office. Also accompanying Eric up and down the river, reevaluating the damage to, both public and private property as a result of the flood that occurred last July. So that's being reevaluated. As you recall, we initially rejected their funds with the caveat that we'd like to reevaluate and reassess and offer some alternative ideas. So they've taken us up on that, and they're back, and they've even brought down a regional conservationist and a couple of people from out of the federal office. So
Well, and I was at the meeting yesterday morning, it's going on today and tomorrow. But
All week.
All week, but how prepared our staff was, they did an awesome job. And then with Chris with Riverbend Engineering, I believe was the other gentleman that was there, he did a really good presentation, and I think the folks that were there were impressed with all the information, so we're very prepared.
So that's ongoing. I want to remind everybody that on March 24th, we're having a grand opening of Village Hall. We'll be publicizing that and sending out all the information, making sure that the community is aware of that. On the 11th, April 11th, we'll be having a ribbon cutting along with AOC. The judges will be coming in, the Administrative Office of the Courts. They're at the Horton Complex at the site. They're going to be doing a groundbreaking, and that's going to be at 1 p.m.
What date was that?
April 11th.
April.
And we're going to be sending out some notices and
Okay.
inviting the county commissioners as well to attend that event. So, that's another event that's getting ready to get on the way here pretty quick. Right now, I'd like to call up Adam so that Adam can talk a little bit about the Paradise Project and how that project's coming along.
Yeah, Adam, how is that going on?
Mayor, council, all actuality, J29 is the contractor on that job. They have worked with the village really well as far as coordinating the outages, and we've had a couple little mishaps, them breaking a line or something like that. But other than that, when they first started, they were going to start the Monday, and I didn't feel that there was proper coordination with the rest of the people that are going to be not even affected, but we're going to have to turn water around on Sutter Drive. So they actually postponed a week to get the word out there a little bit better. They have completed 13 services, and sounds like just a little bit, but the way they're having to do it is on the laterals that are actually in place, there's not corp stops on them. So there's nowhere to shut them off. They're having to do an outage for the whole Paradise Canyon. So what they're doing is the stub out usually feeds 2 meters. So they're tying in the 1 meter, and they're running the other service line across the road, and they're getting like 8 of them done. 8 of them run across, and they'll do one outage and tie them all in. So I have been coordinating with Chief Chavez, and we're actually going to look at, and I'm going to talk to the contractor on opening it up on weekends, just to get people to go through and, feasibility.
Legitimately?
Yeah, legitimately. They have coordinated really well with the buses and the emergency vehicles, and, they do have the flaggers set up, in the work zone they're working in. Does anybody have any questions?
I brought up compaction last week on it, so we're sure that they're doing all compactions and it's inspected and stuff.
Mayor Pro Tem Salas, yes, they are, they do have I believe it's Terracon doing their compactions.
Okay.
And they have been, we have our inspector out there, and they're tamping everyone in and getting points of GIS points and everything on them.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay.
Mayor, the next project that I'd like to talk about is, the fiber project. We currently have an RFP out. We did issue an addendum yesterday, Mayor and Council, to extend the bid. I believe can you come down, Karen? I believe it's 14 days. We had originally targeted making sure that we were prepared to go to the April meeting with a recommendation. That doesn't change things. We're going to still make that target date of coming back to the governing body and making a recommendation on the fiber project. But one of the reasons that we did that is because we wanted to send out a community survey to find out what's the cost of fiber that people are paying, and then what level of service that they're currently receiving. So there's a process that's set up, and Karen, if you could talk a little bit more about the survey and how that survey is going to work.
Yes, Mayor, Council.
You want to come up too, Karen? Judy? Karen, Judy?
Yes, Mayor, Council, the survey that Herman and the staff put together is currently out for all the residents of.
Excuse me, you might want to explain who Herman is.
I'm sorry. Herman is actually the consultant that we hired to help us with this procurement. He has the expertise on the actual fiber and the services it would take to put this procurement together for the village. And I believe Herman Bach is his name, and his company's name,
Christina?
excuse me?
Christina.
Cristino, yeah. Yeah, he's, anyway, he helped us put the RFP together, the scope of work. Very, very knowledgeable. I don't know that we could have done this without him. We don't have the staff or the expertise. So he's done a really good job for the village. And that survey, like I said, I believe it went out yesterday. It was posted, and it's going to go out to all the residents. We're spreading it as asking them to do it from their home, do the test from their home and from their place of business. We're just trying to get the information, and I think Judy probably you know more about the survey.
Mayor and council, in connection with the state of New Mexico, it's a link where a resident can go on, and once they press the link, it measures how fast their internet service is, like, I don't know, the ups and downs and all that stuff. And so it relays the information back to us. And it also asks different things, how they use their internet, if it's a home-based business or if it's just to stream movies, different things like that. It also asks them their providers and how much they pay. And it's going to be used in order to give some feedback to the potential apparent offerer that's going to take the project on the RFP forward, so they can have an idea of what our backbone is. So when they're proposing and making tweaks to the system in order to bring the fiber to the homes, they might have a little bit more better data. Because when we first had the pre-conference, that was a lot of the questions, is what do you currently have, like what's your terrain, different things like that. So we're hoping that this survey, which was actually initiated by Herman after he had some of the questions from some of the potential offers, developed. So we think that we're gaining some very valuable data that could be useful to us and our potential contractor in the future.
Yes, and as Village Manager Dodge referenced earlier, the addendum that went out yesterday is actually moving the proposal due date from the 15th to the 29th. So with that, we'll still be able to bring it to council in April, I believe, at the special meeting and get that awarded.
Mayor, Council, one of the interesting things that we found out through this process now that we've engaged in a competitive process is, we've had a couple of providers, and I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to call it names, but, they've came to us and said, if you provide us with X amount of grant dollars and we, provide X amount of funding as well, we could provide a gig of service to everybody in Ruidoso, every single resident. We have other providers that are coming to us and saying, oh, we can already do that with the exception of some of the tougher to build areas. So it's created this, the competition has created these providers stepping up, but having Herman in place as a consultant that understands it on the other side, on the technology side, and then being able to have this survey and be able to send it out, it's telling us what type of service really is out there and how, what they can actually provide by provider. And we didn't have that information before. So I think this effort that we have ongoing is going to result in a great opportunity for us to increase the service provided to all residents in Ruidoso. In addition to that process, Matt Hamilton with the new fiber oversight committee that's been formed with the state is also developing a grant program, and that's going to be letting within the next week or so. We're keeping our eye on that ball so that when it does come out, we're going to put in an application. We've already engaged in conversation with the state and try to bring in additional resources to help us fund that project. So everything's coming together pretty well on that. So I just wanted to provide you an update. I think it's pretty exciting and it's something that we've been working on. So with that, Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and move on and ask Zeke to come down and talk a little bit.
I got a question right quick. What's the length of the survey period? For how long will you be receiving surveys or?
Okay, Mayor, Councilor Salas, that survey period started yesterday, and it will run through the duration of the actual.
To the 29th or?
To the 29th?
So we'll have data by the
Okay.
29th to be able to provide and consolidate and put together for the upcoming.
For the upcoming,
How are
okay.
we getting that link out to the public?
We're putting it out on email blasts. We're working with Carrie to get it out on the website, different
Yes.
places.
Okay.
On the water bill.
Social media.
Social
Okay,
media.
because it's the first I've heard of it, and I'd love to take it because I'm getting far below what I'm supposed to. We tried streaming a movie over the weekend and couldn't, we just gave up.
Oh, okay.
You know, so and it depends on the day, you know, with some of these providers. Or actually, I can go in and run a test, a speed test, and then I can go back an hour later and run it and get completely different results. So the inconsistency and the quality is just horrible. And I'm getting ready to just turn it off and not pay the $60 a month because it's just going down the drain.
Right. Mayor and Council Coughlin, and then by chance you do not, if you all do not receive or see that, you know, we'd love to hear from you if you didn't receive an email blast from that.
Council, you might want to talk to the mayor about what provider he's using because he's having good service.
Yeah, right now. Just holding my
Maybe I need to be
breath.
more vocal.
But I don't think he's paying $60 a month.
No, I'm paying a little more than that. It's my habit, but I appreciate that. And it wasn't, but just a few years ago that the ROI was nowhere near
Right.
all these companies. They weren't interested in Ruidoso. So there's money out there that they have access somewhere. Something's changed and we're happy about it.
Okay, Mayor, moving on with my report, I'd like Zeke to come down and talk a little bit about the streetlight project and then Center Street and the Center Street parking lot.
Zeke just completed another certificate.
I did, yes, sir.
Thank you, Zeke.
Certified procurement officer, that was a fun 4-day class.
I bet it was.
Learned a lot.
That just
We
means
had
you're
a-
not
we had
working
a-
enough.
We had to order extra
Certifiable
duct
now.
tape and toothpicks.
Yeah.
Keep his eyes open.
I thought to tape him to the chair, but anyway.
That's right.
Thanks for going through that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. A quick update on our Midtown light pole replacement project. It was originally scheduled, we were going to start that around February 21st was the original date, but we had some material delays with the new light poles themselves. And so since that date, we've actually received word from the contractor that those have arrived. They actually wanted to start this week, yesterday. But in discussions, you know, Rodney and discussions with the contractor, we figured it's best to hold off a couple more weeks since we're fixing to get into spring break.
Yeah.
We don't want a lot of stuff going on construction-wise in Midtown. So now the new date for that project to start is March 21st. So the plan for that one is they're gonna work Monday through Friday. They're gonna close off a lane of the road where they're working. They're gonna take down the light poles. Only the light poles that they can replace in a week is what they're gonna take down, you know, that week, and put them back up by the end of the day, Thursday, before they leave for the weekend. The project's anticipated to take approximately 4 weeks from start to finish, so that puts them, you know, hopefully around the 3rd week of April. You know, if weather cooperates and all the other stuff that goes with that, traffic control and everything else that will be going on in Midtown. So they do have there is a contract out for new speakers, which will be installed on those light poles. You know, that'll come after all the light poles are replaced, and that project will come up and the new speaker will be installed. So
Okay.
quick update on that project there, if you guys have any questions or comments.
Anyone? No. Oh, thank you. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. That'll be a good one. Get those old wooden light poles down and new ones up. I've also got an update on the Center Street maintenance project that has started. Zia Gas has been working in the past couple of weeks relocating some of their gas lines, relocating some of their meters, upgrading some of their infrastructure there along Center Street, and in the parking lot behind Timbers Mall. And that's in anticipation of our contractor getting started. So there were some conflicts with their existing lines, and meters needed to be relocated. So they've been real good to work with. We've also been coordinating with P&M on getting some of their poles relocated. That's still in the process. P&M's a little bit slower than Zia Gas has been, but we're still coordinating with them. Our contractor for that project's actually going to mobilize tomorrow and start taking down trees there at Timbers Mall at the parking lot. And then next week, they'll mobilize and close the parking lot full-time to start construction within the parking lot itself. Center Street itself is not scheduled to start until the week of March 28th, which is again, kind of after the major spring break. So we will close Center Street and start the demolition on March 28th. And anticipation to have that done and back open before Memorial Day weekend.
Okay, very good.
So, it just came on me, when you're parked up on the upper parking lot off of Wingfield, when all this construction starts, so the people walk down to Texas, they'll have to go on the street to go around that portion of that parking lot? Is that correct?
Yeah, so whenever we close, Councilor Salas and Mayor, whenever we close the parking lot, the sidewalk will remain open. But whenever we close Center Street altogether, then basically the sidewalks will be closed as well. And so we're working with Rodney and his department, and also with Kendra there, the Midtown Association, and the contractor to figure out signage, fencing, kind of a route that we can safely get people that park in that parking lot down to Midtown.
And I guess that's the concern, because I knew you were closing off the street between Wingfield and Sutter, but at least it being blocked off or enough signage to direct them, even if they're walking on the going up the street side of the road, because there's no traffic through there except the construction.
Correct.
But that's all I'm just picturing of the people parking up there and walking down to go shopping and stuff, so.
Correct, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we will be using Texas Street a little more to detour the pedestrian traffic, and then out onto Grindstone, and down to Midtown that way with some signage and some fencing. We've already talked to the contractor about, they're anticipating working 4/10, so Monday through Thursday. We're going to work with them to hopefully make Midtown a little more accessible during the weekend, on their off days, Thursday through Sunday, Friday through Sunday, basically same thing, signage, fencing, making sure it's safe to where they can separate the public from the construction and still, maintain access when possible.
Okay.
When possible during construction, so.
And that access down Grindstone is going to be a little tricky too, because the construction that's going on that property.
Correct.
They built the wall and some other things there, so.
Correct, yes, sir. I've noticed the caution tape on that corner there for a while now, so they're still working on that one as well.
Okay, we have to really look at that.
Okay, Mayor, moving on,
Thanks, Zeke.
Thanks,
call
Zeke.
Rodney down here in a minute to give us an update on some of the things that he has ongoing. But one of the things I did want to inform you that in the upcoming weeks, I have 9 of our directors and staff that are going to be attending virtual grant writing workshops. And it's being put on by the New Mexico Municipal League. I think there's 5 to 6 different sessions that we'll be sitting in on. People have often asked me, well, Tim, do you guys have your own grant writer? Well, I think from Anthony to Ron to myself, the chief at times, Judy, Karen, Rodney, several of our directors, Adam, Eric, they all get involved with grant writing. So with the new process that we see developing at the state level for distributing some of the recovery funds and the bipartisan bill that's coming down that is going to be distributed, what I see is that the state is actually going to be going through a grant process. So through the legislative session, what we saw is, the legislators really looked at the severance tax dollars and the general fund dollars, and they focused on what was House Bill 2, the House Appropriations, which is basically creating the state's budget. And, that's where all the state agencies go in with their asks, and they fulfill that first. In that process, I've read through the whole bill a couple of different times, and there's money that's put into those departments. For instance, Economic Development Department has a couple of different pots of money. One's for outdoor recreation, and it's a big pot of money, and What I'm anticipating and what we've seen in the past is they actually put out a grant process for that money, and it's a competitive grant process. In addition to that, there's, other from the Environment Department, Homeland Security, all the different agencies, Department of Transportation, have appropriations that have gone into those various departments. So, building the internal capacity, we're going to start splitting those directors up and assigning them to keep their eye on certain balls throughout the state and making sure that when those grant cycles do come up, that we're prepared to apply for those dollars. The other thing that we see is Marty Chavez has been assigned to the local government division, and him, in addition to Bianca Wertheim, or Ortiz Wertheim, is, she was the old cabinet secretary for Department of Homeland Security. She's been moved over to that department to work under Marty as well. And they're having a whole series of grants that they're putting together, in addition to working with Mike, his name's Mike Hammond. He's with this broadband commission that they put together. And then there's also some water funds that they're going to be looking at setting aside, and most of it's all infrastructure dollars that we're talking about. So each of the directors are going to have specific sites that we're going to assign them to make sure that they're keeping their eye on the ball and preparing to apply for grants with all those different processes that are being set up through the state. So, Mary, you had asked me about, or brought up House, I think it was House Bill 7, and that's actually a direct appropriation that goes to the New Mexico Finance Authority, and that's for enterprises and to lend money to various private and for-profit entities throughout the state of New Mexico, and that's going and funding the New Mexico Finance Authority.
To loan, you said?
Loan, and in some incidents actually grant the money as well. So there's some grants and loans that are going to be available through that process.
We hope.
The New Mexico, well, those are pretty sure. That's not, I think what's being threatened right now is a
Junior bill.
a veto of the capital outlay and of the junior bill itself. So the capital outlay and the junior bill are two separate bills that went through. The junior bill was built off of general fund dollars that were available immediately that they wanted to get expended out. And on the junior bill, that's where we received right about 330,000. It was an 80,000 and a 150. Both of those appropriations were to the Midtown Association. It comes through the village as a fiscal agent, and then we do a sub-grant award to the Midtown Association. The capital outlay funds that we received were 3.5 million, and we believe that was a direct appropriation from the governor, and that was for a new public safety building and dispatch, consolidated dispatch. My intent, Mayor, is to come to the governing body next month in April. If the governor does not line item veto that and request a formal resolution solidifying that direction to move the PD, the public safety building, and the consolidated dispatch center, and entertain the county coming into the consolidated dispatch as well, with some other consolidation of services and buildings that I've had some discussions with our county manager on as well. So we're going to be working on that resolution throughout the month, and then coming back to you all to try to solidify that direction. Also in the capital outlays, we had from some attorney that works for us that is also a legislator, gave us $980,000 for.
I think it was a mix-up. He woke up and said, "What?"
So Zach, thanks for that. We appreciate your efforts up in helping us to address the housing shortages in the area. So hopefully that doesn't get vetoed, Zach. Hope you've been good. And then also for the community center, the Geo bonds did produce I think it was 84,000, Ron? $94,000 for the community center as well. So, it was overall a pretty successful legislative session for us. We're still working with Homeland Security and identifying the gap funding. That project does bid on the 10th. In a couple of days, we'll know. And I have received a call from Kelly Hamilton. I get two of them confused. Is it Kelly Hamilton?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he said that, you know, there's a new recovery director, and the old director came on to help with the transition, and that they're gonna help us figure out this funding gap that we have, so there's been ongoing communication on that. So, Mayor, I just wanted to express that there is, you know, a lot of moving balls with the ways that the state is handling, you know, all these billions of dollars that they've been talking about, and we're doing our best to make sure that we're staffed up. And I know that, you know, throughout the last couple of years, the mayor and council, you have invested in staff, and I appreciate that, because that's put us in a position where we can go out and bring these dollars back to Ruidoso, where other communities are, you know, don't have that human capacity to go after the dollars. So thank you. With that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Rodney so that he can give us an update on some of his upcoming projects, which are pretty exciting. Rodney, Tim, and Elizabeth have been causing a lot of trouble.
Good afternoon, Mayor and councilors. So the one that comes to mind immediately is the Outdoor Expo that's coming up this weekend. It's, you know, our first outdoor expo that's going to highlight outdoor recreation opportunities and vendors, not only in Ruidoso, but really southern New Mexico and some even the Southwest. We've had a lot of interest from lots of businesses from far and wide and local. Let's see, as part of the planning for that, we did reach out to Endeavor New Mexico, which the Endeavor New Mexico Outdoor Recreation Business Alliance. It's an independent organization that promotes outdoor recreation in southern New Mexico, and is trying to, one of their mission is to create jobs in the outdoor recreation industry and stimulate the economy. So we reached out to them. It's made up of municipalities, businesses, colleges. There's all different types of levels of membership. So we did apply for a free membership. We're part of that. To also, it's our same mission to create jobs and promote outdoor recreation. Through their using them as a resource, they did spread the word that we were having an outdoor expo, and so we did gain some marketing through them, as well as acquiring some businesses who they put the information out to. We also reached out to the Outdoor Recreation Division for New Mexico. They also advertised the expo on their weekly emails. Again, we did get some contacts statewide for some businesses that wanted to attend that as well. We have invited Axie Nava, the director for that department. We haven't had confirmation that she's going to be able to make it yet, but we did extend an invitation to her. There is a lot of incredible businesses that are going to be part of this. So the show is Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Sunday 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Let's see, we are also, we typically have what we call the Walk the Links, which is a 5K walk and run that happens at this time of the year. So we're kind of creating it or implementing it as part of the Outdoor Rec Expo. So that'll start on Sunday at 10 a.m. It'll start at the MCM Elegante, and it'll
That's all right.
loop around the Links Trail. And that is, it's not free. The cost to participate in is just a canned good, or how do you say that? Goods that don't expire, non-perishable goods. And that's a fundraiser, one of our fundraisers with the Lincoln County Food Bank. I'll go over some of the businesses that we have attracted, and this is just a partial list, or I'm just going to highlight some of them. We have 70 vendors who have committed to the event, which is going to fill up the convention center. So we have the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish who's gonna bring down multiple different items. They have a wild game trailer. They have an HOV simulator and instructional material for HOV users. They're gonna bring in an archery and like a pistol exhibit that kids allows them participate in archery and shooting. We have our local disc golf vendor, Dynamic Discs, Everett Brophy. We have Zia Rides coming in, which is the mountain bike company that promotes mountain bike rides all over New Mexico and Arizona, and they host the ride that is here in Ruidoso. We have some local businesses such as Nomad, local outfitters, Tigor Trophy Hunts, Parts Unknown, Happy Hiker, Backcountry Attitudes, Ruidoso Animal Clinic. We have Racing Adventures, which is a race timing company that puts on marathons throughout southern New Mexico and West Texas. They're a timing company. We use them. They do the timing for our marathon. They'll be here. There's running stores coming in from El Paso. The Backcountry Horsemen of New Mexico will be in attendance. Sandman Armory, Bluebird Running Company. We're going to have the actual brand new seat from the Mountain Coaster. One will be on display from Ruidoso Snow Play. We got the bike shop, the Board House. Wild Spirit Outfitters. We have a scuba diving company from El Paso that will be in attendance. And we're actually working with them to provide some local classes in conjunction, utilizing our swimming pool as training space during the summer, as well as, you are permitted to dive in Grindstone Lake, so they're going to use a combination of our resources to provide some local dive training there and certifications. Little Bear Archery, I believe they're out of Las Cruces. We have a taxidermy shop, geocachers, Zia Kayak Outfitters, which is a retail kayak distributor out of Elephant Butte. That list goes on and on. Grindstone Stables, Lincoln County Historical Society, Highway 70 RV. We have local, the four-wheel drive club, J.R. Montoya, who outfits four-wheel drive vehicles. We have some local people who are outdoor enthusiasts are going to participate. I'm not sure what to call. Is it Chief Hooker, Counselor Hooker?
Outdoor enthusiast, what's that called?
He's going to participate. We have another village employee who, one of his second jobs is manufacturing bolt-on attachments for four-wheel drive vehicles. He's going to be present. Pinnacle Bike Shops.
That's 70 of them, right?
I haven't listed them all, but there is quite a few.
Tons.
There's an interesting one here that really was an eye-opener. I've never even heard of it, and I don't know if will be pronouncing it correctly. It's Hualapai Game and Fish. It's a tribal reservation out of north central Arizona. It's much like the Mescalero Apache tribe. They're going to be promoting their big game hunts and opportunities on their reservation here in Ruidoso. It's really incredible the interest that we've had for this.
You forgot Bison Burgers of Ruidoso Downs?
What?
Bison Burgers?
The bison.
Oh, Bison Burgers, yeah, we're going to be there. Elk burgers.
We're working with the Jockey Club to bring in some different wild game products that will be there serving food, which ties into the overall theme of the event. We're also the plan is to kick off our Ruidoso Adventure Tours, and so the majority of the prizes that will be given away will be on display, as well as the businesses who we have planned on purchasing the prizes from. So there'll be an RV dealer, the dealer for the OHV and the motorcycle will be present. The kayak We're giving away a kayak fishing package. That's again Zia Kayaks. Mountain bike that we're giving away as part of the sweepstakes will be from Pinnacle Mountain Bikes.
Mayor, a little bit later in the agenda, I think Rodney has the rules that he's gonna ask you to approve, and he's gonna cover that part of it, so. You know,
The adventure tours.
now that we had a big buildup, talk a little bit about the sidewalks in Midtown, Rodney.
Yeah.
Now a letdown, is that what you're saying?
Just stumbling along.
So, in regards to the sidewalks in Midtown, and this is relation to the work that was the reconstruction of some of those sidewalks that was completed last summer. Within the last 2 weeks, it's come to not only my attention, but Manager Dodge, that some of those, it seems like they're heaving and they're rising and falling. I noticed about 2 weeks ago, I noticed the fiber board between the seams was actually raising, is what I noticed first. Before I got a chance to investigate that, I got a notification from Manager Dodge that he had noticed something that looked out of place too. So I went and walked the area, took lots of pictures. There's areas in that new construction where it looks like the sidewalks is raised, at least at last week, as much as 3 inches. And so I took some pictures. I sent them to the NMDOT project manager who ran that last summer, and just notified them that there's seems to be some issues with this, and so they were supposed to follow up with the engineer and see how they wanted to address that. I haven't heard back from them. I'll follow up today after the meeting. And I did mention that last week it looked like they raised. Well, it looks like this week that they've actually settled, and it's not quite as drastic as it was last week. I took some comparison pictures. I had used the key fob of my work vehicle just kind of as reference on the increase in height, and I took pictures today, and it's apparent that they're rising and falling. And so I'll send that follow-up email with those pictures as well, and we'll see how that is going to be addressed.
And Mayor, that's what I called you on yesterday as well. I've been, observing myself, and I told Rodney, go out there where you took the pictures and retake again and look at it. But I had noticed that it had risen and it was up, and I called Rodney. Ron and I actually went out and saw it. And then this week when we drove back by yesterday, the sidewalk settled again. So, to me, it's groundwater and it's freeze thaw. And they did notice that there was moisture when they were trying to get compaction out there. So if I'm not mistaken, the project manager instructed them to put a geotech fiber in there so that, that created that barrier between it. But if you got that groundwater coming in on, when you got the flow occurring, I think that's what's pushing it up with a freeze and then dropping it back down. But that kind of explains, historically, I think that sidewalk has always been a problem in that area.
Yeah, it sure has. Tore up.
So that's a spring.
Yeah, Ruidoso Springs.
That's strange, because usually when you get heaving, it doesn't settle back down, it stays up. But
It's
3
very
inches,
strange.
3 inches could be a major trip hazard,
That's
and pretty soon we got people going face.
Yeah, so, with the material, that's correct. You usually do that when the material's very permeable. But when it's real clay and it saturates, it's more like a sponge that's gonna lift it when it's wet, and then when it dries, it is going back down.
I'm really familiar with clay, coming from California. We had that same issue around our swimming pool, and when clay expands, it doesn't necessarily shrink back down to its size. We had to come in and even other projects I've been on, they have to grind it down, because once it comes up, it's gonna be.
I think that's California clay.
Could be.
Yeah, weird, that
Mexico clay is something different.
You could drill the curves.
But that's.
Water out.
But something's happening there.
Yeah.
Something's happening.
Like, he was suggesting drilling a hole through the curbs to let the moisture out.
Yeah, put drains in the curbs, that's a good idea.
Okay.
You could try it.
That's where we're gonna miss you, John.
You can borrow my hammer drill.
He ain't getting anywhere. We're still trying to tag him in on some utility commissions. And one thing, can you talk about the Ruidoso Schools MOU and then the maintenance that we've provided? I know in here we're looking, just getting the fields ready.
Yes, sir. So, the MOU that we currently have, with the schools covers all of the, shared use facilities. Some are owned by the village and some are owned by the schools. And the benefit of that is for an example, the Horton Auxiliary Gym. It's solely their gym. Up until the last few years when we updated that MOU, we never really utilized that gym. We use it on a regular basis now to operate our youth leagues. And so that particular gymnasium, how the maintenance is managed is while we're using it, we perform the upkeep of the floor and cleaning of the restrooms and cleaning of the facility. We coordinate use with the admin office at the schools and the coaches for the various sports. On White Mountain Complex, of course, the village covers all the cost of the maintenance for the upkeep of the athletic fields, the baseball field, the soccer fields, removal of.
So everybody
animal
wants to know,
droppings.
how are you removing the,
So,
chewing it up?
Our spring sports are fixing to kick off. We're just closing our registrations for spring soccer. We're performing drafts tonight, and we'll be prepping those fields in the next 2 weeks. How we plan on addressing the droppings at this point is basically mulching them up with a mower. Once we've made that initial pass and we see how what the condition is, then we'll make our next move based upon that. Typically, your spring and the beginning of spring is an issue just because of all the droppings over the winter. Typically, as we get into the spring and summer, they move off the fields. At least the elk and the deer have. I'm not sure how the horses will react to the seasons because we haven't had that experience. This would be the first year where we've had them starting in the spring. I have looked into other alternatives for picking up horse manure. There are pieces of equipment that you can pull behind a tractor that more or less sweep it and pick it up. We'll be budgeting for a piece of equipment, but otherwise, just like we did last year, it was a hand. It was mechanical. We had to do it by hand, and it was very, very, very time consuming. Yeah. And so, if we could have a piece of machinery that could pick it up, it would be a lot easier. But again, we're just going to play it by ear and see, what luck we have with mulching it up with a mower.
So last year, the horses weren't out there in the spring season, or we didn't have anybody out there because of COVID?
So they really started over the summer and right into fall. We really hadn't experienced the horses around any of our sports previously. The only one that might be the closest was at Eagle Creek, but we put gates on the fields at Eagle Creek 10 or more years ago to combat horses or elk getting into the fields.
Are you going to, with your coaches, kind of remind the coaches that kids and parents really shouldn't be coaxing the horses to no feeding and that kind of stuff?
We have a coaches meeting this evening with soccer, and I will visit with them. I think you might find the opposite from that group, though. They're not going to be coaxing them.
Well,
to feed
absolutely,
them. They're going to
you're right.
be encouraging them to leave.
Yeah, they don't want them there in the fields.
But we will. I think it's important that we talk about that because it.
Well,
could
the
be
minute
a
they
hazard.
see a lot of people, they're gonna, nice.
Feeding time.
Because they were out there
we get our
this
rear ends
morning,
scratched.
they were just all at the four-way stop, just stopped in the road.
Mm-hmm.
People weren't able to even move.
And then next, Dr. Jackson is wanting to know if you're going to be putting in pre-emergence for the foxtails.
Yes, so it is on the list, and so we perform that twice a year. So in the off season when it's not growing is the most important time. So you get it incorporated into the soil because it's pre-emergent. You never want it to germinate is the goal. Once it's germinated, it kind of, you lost that battle.
Yeah, we
until
lost it a couple years ago.
goes through its cycle. So we apply the pre-emergent in the fall and the spring.
And fertilizer, because I know we do have a little grass down there. So when we put the fertilizer, I know that it's not pet friendly. So will we put a notice on there?
Anytime we apply,
You've got a whole bunch of fertilizer we
I
just talked
know.
about.
I was gonna
But they'll
say,
eat that. We need to,
in the dog park, anytime we apply something, we do put signage. The application of fertilizer there is really minimal. It's solely in the areas that are irrigated. So the majority of the park is not irrigated, but we will, we'll put adequate signage with adequate time period before it's applied. And we prefer to close it rather than allow people to continue to use it.
Mayor, if there's no more questions, I just want to point out that I've also asked the directors, in addition to grant
he's getting ready to tell a joke.
paying attention to Rodney, because he's always like building that budget, asking for additional implements to get rid of the horse manure and
Yeah.
Well, that machinery.
he's always working that budget.
I shovel it.
I
have
think
plenty of
you
those.
offer the coaches, if they go out and pick it up, they get extra points for their game.
Your ball field looks great. They finally got that one secured. But the walking trails, as I did this morning, and the soccer fields are, they're a mess. There's a lot of, well, I would call grass-fed horse dung everywhere. And I don't know why they group up. It seems like it's like my dog. If they hit one spot, then two more want to hit the same one. But I look like I'm inebriated when I'm walking over there. It's just dodging this stuff. So the trails are clear. But boy, that area, and I would have to say the other day I saw someone out there with their camera within 2 or 3 feet of the horses because they were down. They weren't standing. And taking pictures. And I guess when one gets trumped, then they'll understand that these are not pets. But
I think that we've been really good at attempting education, and I think that time has gone, and it's time for citations. Once you start issuing some citations, that will really spread out. Because the education, one person is gonna go, oh, okay, I got my hand slapped for trying to hop on the back of one of these horses. But then you give them a citation, and they'll let everybody know, don't try to ride the horses.
And do the first one.
I'll be more than happy to.
And I can tell you, our code enforcement guys are out there constantly now.
They're doing a great job trying to do what they can, but it's just gotten out of control. There's these, I hate to say it, but these stupid people that are treating them like they're going to the pony rides. And somebody's gonna get hurt. Somebody's gonna get really hurt. Or one of those horses, poor horses, I mean, I don't blame them. They're doing what they do. One of those poor horses, at some point, you're gonna get another idiot out there chasing them around. They're gonna go running across the road and get hit by a car.
Mayor, if there's no additional questions for Rodney, the last thing I'd like to report on is, the New Mexico Film Office has a process for designating a film liaison. And, it simply takes an application and then an endorsement letter from the village manager. So I have issued that letter to Elizabeth Ritter, and she's attended her first film event down in Las Cruces this past weekend. And, in the future, she's going to be reporting on some of the potential, but I think she had some pretty good success down there last weekend, and we're not going to go into details on that right now, but I just want to recognize that she has actively engaged in that process, and we will be looking to see if we can bring some films to Ruidoso at some point. Mayor, at this point, I'll go ahead and stand for questions if there's any additional questions of myself or Ron in relation to.
Go right ahead, ma'am.
I just noticed on the demolish of the water shop, and it said starting February 1st or the first week of February. Have we already started?
Yeah.
The water shop portion that's going to be demoed is pretty much down to the red iron. When Ron and I went there yesterday, and that's basically the frame of the building, so everything else has been removed.
Okay.
Tim, I have a question. On the one page here in your report, on your building inspection and permit tallies, it kind of looks, I don't know, the way it's listed, it says the name of all the different people in the department, how many building issued permits there are, and a percentage of building permits to that individual person. Is that the person who actually issued the permit, or is that people that are doing inspections on the permits?
I believe that's the inspections, the way that it reads, there's two sections. One where they're actually sending out and doing the permit checks, and then, the plan checks, and then the permits themselves.
Okay, because looking at the numbers, it just looks like one person's doing way more work than everybody else.
And some of them are more detailed than others, so that could be, when you look at it as far as a workload issue, that can be deceiving.
Right.
Some of the type of inspections are a lot quicker than the ones that are more detailed.
Okay.
Bill, David, and Bobby are the only ones that can do inspections.
Right, but just numbers, which is what this does, doesn't give any more explanation to that, makes it look like.
Like, for example, one of the inspector does mainly like decks and things of that nature. So it'd be easy for him to go and knock out, several inspections.
Really quick, yeah. It just looks, if somebody just looks at it, David's doing twice as much work as the other two combined, which, just based on numbers, I know, I'm not
He's
saying that the
producing
others
the
aren't
report
working.
too. I'm just kidding.
He does more plan review than.
Right. But, so that report can be deceiving, and I don't know if it's necessarily, if there hasn't been an issue with it, but if somebody looks at it and goes, gosh, we have village employees not doing hardly anything. So, just a heads up.
Mayor, and Counselor, under the reports, one of the other things that we're going to be doing right now is actually building like a 10-year track on the fuel cells at the airport. So that's going to be an addition that Judy and the airport manager is going to be working on this coming month. So instead of just looking at numbers, you'll see graphs and be able to see the historical cells.
And then we'll probably need to see with these fuel prices, you said fuel sales, which prompted me, how that's going to affect our budgets with all the gas and diesel prices doing
Yes,
what they're.
and Mayor, Council, the budget process is coming up. Judy has put together a calendar, and if I'm not mistaken, we're probably looking like at a 25% increase. Judy? Yeah. Is what we're proposing, so.
I'm glad to see the Planning Commission approved a two-family dwelling on R1. So that's a start to help with some of the housing issues.
Did you see all the leaks that were repaired?
I didn't look at it. I just know seeing those guys out all the time on the roads. Like I have said from the very beginning, that is one department I would not want to work for, because it doesn't matter what the weather is, they're down in those wet holes.
Well, that's not a very good commercial, Captain America. We don't want that.
Well, I'm sorry, but I
Don't go to work for that.
No, I give hats off. Those guys are amazing, because regardless if it's 12 degrees out there, they're out there in a hole if the water's running. And it's something that I personally would not want to do. I'd want to transfer to an indoor job. But it's amazing what they do. They get out there, and sure, you gripe a little bit because it's cold, and that's just what natural human selection. But those guys they're out there. I hate it when people start giving our water guys grief when there's a leak. It's not their fault. They're not creating the leaks. They would rather be at home in bed at the same time. So, those guys are amazing with what they do.
Mayor, there's one last thing that I'd like to report on is today is the last filing date for candidacy for the
County Commission
positions. There's several county positions. We have had one employee file for a position. I won't identify that person, but just for transparency purposes, they have followed our policies in regards to, candidacy or whatnot. So.
Okay, I think that'll be good.
Well, it won't affect their job here very much, because the county doesn't work as much as we do.
Can you report just quickly on gross receipts tax collections. You want Judy to say it, or do you know it off the top of your head?
Yeah, Judy can. I remember off the top of my head, but I'll let Judy do it.
Putting her on the spot.
It's been pretty nice.
It's like the weather, Saturday Night Live, the gross receipts tax are up, and as long as they're up, they're gonna stay up.
Yep.
But that's like more of a weatherman, right?
Yeah, that's like it, yeah.
So, as you know, Mayor and Council, GRT has been coming in pretty good. The distribution was 1.5 million, 1.5 million, which was up from the prior February. So I believe with this allocation, we've either met our budgeted GRT amounts or we're like 98%. So.
And we still have, how many months? Till
March, April,
June
May.
30.
Till June, 4 more months, which would be additional funds to the village, so.
Okay. So that's an indication how strong our businesses are doing and whatever, so we're very happy with it. Yeah, and the lodge tax is very reflective of that.
Now they've already met their budget of the 1.6.
Okay.
So the monthly reports will be out, as soon as we close February, a little after the 10th. So you'll see the new updated numbers.
Okay, thank you very much, appreciate that.
Mayor, I have something.
Ask, absolutely.
And maybe Sam can help, but Manager, have you heard anything about, does it look like that we're dropping in Airbnb rentals and no?
You mean it for the total amount of them or
Yeah,
in revenue?
what I'm hearing from some housekeepers is that they're dropping off like from Hummingbird or from other places, and then they are managing it, and then that way they don't have to pay their fees.
Well, they gotta pay.
Well,
Mayor,
there's many others than Hummingbird.
Well, I
Yeah,
understand
that you don't have to pay the 30% fee, you pay a 10% or whatever, and then you have to contract through Mary Maids to get it cleaned. So there's a lot of that.
pay
But you
lodger's
still
tax.
collect lodger's tax.
Yeah, they basically do bookings. That's
Yeah.
And GRT. So they
Yeah.
have to pay GRT and lodger's tax.
even if they're not, okay.
Yeah.
What if they haven't signed up with the Village of
Catch
We
Ridgewood?
have a buffer that constantly peruse on the internet that we purchased, that it indicates, and then we I don't see her in here.
Mayor, but most of them are, are going with Airbnb or VRBO on those platforms, and that's a self-collection.
Yeah.
And, then we catch them on the permitting side. So if you look at your report, you can see that the numbers are actually up. And I think we're right, gonna hit 1,000. But what we should probably do is start to develop a scale now that we've developed some historic numbers so that you can see those fluctuations.
Because a lot of them are leaving those that you
Right.
mentioned because they charge 30%.
Right.
A lot of these are charging 10, 6%, and they pay that
But
day.
our software catches
Catch it.
no matter what.
As long as they're advertising on the internet, any form or fashion,
And if a property owner changes management companies, that's not,
doesn't matter.
they can still
Or
have
don't
that.
have a management company at all.
If they don't have a management company.
Yeah, okay, thank you, I appreciate
And
it.
if you see it, like I have a house behind me that there's people there constantly. It didn't pop up, and I got that information to Sam, and she's working on getting them compliant. So that's the other thing is if you're not sure, just call and get it straightened out.
Okay, thank you.
And I think the report, actually talks about, properties that currently, have been identified but aren't permitted as well. So there's quite a bit of information in the report.
Okay, anything else? Okay, is that it, Manager?
And just in regards to that same thing, just kind of, another conversation I have ongoing with the county, and is that, they've actually, a couple of years ago when we did a presentation to them on the software, they were collecting about 30,000 a year. Now that they've implemented it, they're up to 300,000 a year.
And we appreciate the thank you letter that they sent, and a box of chocolates too.
And Ira's been pretty thankful.
Ira has been good, but once again, that You know, there was thanks but no thanks, and now then they're doing it, so it worked out well. So it's great leadership by you and your team of those folks that do that.
Yeah. I think Susan was sitting in there with one of those conversations with the previous manager, but, you know, it was a big thank you.
Okay, is that everything?
That's it.
Okay, we'll have reports from municipal officials, and how about we start with Joseph Eby?
All right, well, thank you, Mayor. I want to welcome Camille back there. I ran into Jody a while back, and I said, is Camille still in the area? She said, yeah, she's still here, and she's just buried with work. So, but thank you for coming and giving such a great report of everything that you're doing and all the progress you're making in different projects, and it fit right in with all of the updates from the different departments here in town, that all the progress that's being made. So I would think that possibly, whether or not this year or next year, maybe on the outdoor expo, that the Lincoln National Forest should be also part of that expo, because you all offer a lot of outdoor, let's just say, experience for visitors to Ruidoso and such. And there are many people that come to this area just for that, for the experience of hiking in the forest and getting out. So maybe you could be a part of that here in the future. And with that, just a lot of stuff going on there. A lot of stuff going on. So we're excited about that outdoor expo. I'm definitely going to try to make it. I've been kind of buried with work myself there, so I've got to make it. I'll just make a commitment and make it.
There you go.
But, yeah, well, I'll see you there, Susan.
I'll be there.
You bet. And Randy was talking about also about the tour of Plant 3 on the 22nd, and it's going to be an all-day deal. But you're going to have several people from the state come down from the OSC, and they're going to be looking at the renovations, everything that they've done as far as the upgrading, and also do a backwash and do all kinds of stuff. So I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting, informative day if you can make it there. So on his behalf, I'm going to invite everyone to make an appointment with Randy for the 22nd. I also, personally myself, other than working, I did attend the Republican pre-primary convention here, and I want to hats off to Tim and all the staff there and anyone that was involved in organizing that and putting it together, because it was a very well run, and there was a lot of people there, almost 1,000 people, but it was arranged very nicely. People, it was crowded, but it was certainly enough room for everyone to get around, and that's the largest convention yet to date here in the state of New Mexico for that particular convention, and I would say probably at the smallest venue in the state, but it was very, very well received. I got a lot of great compliments for the venue and for the just the facility and the way everything was set up. So thank you for that. And then also I did attend the first Citizens Police Academy, the first night of the second class, the other evening on Thursday. And there's a lot of good group of people there, a lot of diverse attendance, for people from, I'll just say, all different sectors of this community.
That's a good way.
And they're there for all different reasons. What's that?
So that's a good way to put it.
Well, you know, like, I think now, I now have to start calling Councilor Coughlin Captain America.
Yeah, Captain America.
Yeah. But anyway, well, thank you, Councilor Coughlin.
For what?
But they're all excited.
He thought it was your comment. We can't tell what your.
Oh, no, that was him.
I know, you just gave him his name.
Yeah, Captain America, yes.
Yes.
He will be when he's out of surgery.
That's right.
Counselor Captain America.
Councilor Captain America, absolutely there. But I'm glad to see that there's a lot of interest as far as the community, and also interest with the police department in reaching out to the community to put this on. And I believe it's just going to be let's just say, a more congenial, more knowledgeable citizenry that is going to be, let's just say, just informed of what the police department does, because it's a great class. So with that, I'm just looking forward to the rest of the year, and it's like living in heaven here in Ruidoso. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And so we have another counselor that signed up this time, right?
Yes, sir.
Who is it?
Counselor Letterman.
Oh, and she's next. Yes, that'll work. Yep.
I wouldn't make her mad. She's a black belt.
Yeah, she is a black belt, or she has a black belt.
In Taekwondo.
In
We found that out.
Your turn, ma'am.
Well, as usual, very thankful for all of the wonderful projects going on in our village. But today I have to say a big thank you to Councilor Cornelius, because, and this probably won't be his last meeting, knowing us. But I just want to tell John, thank you so much for being so knowledgeable, bringing that to the village of Ruidoso. He's been wonderful to work with, just like all of you. And he's always brought, for me, a real calming effect. There's a lot of times he's like, it's okay, Susan. But I've totally enjoyed working with him with the Wingfield House. He's brought so much expertise and great knowledge. He's been such an asset to the village of Ruidoso in his years of service. And I'm personally going to miss him a lot. So thank you, John, for all that you've brought to the village of Ruidoso and to the citizens. We appreciate it very much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Susan. Raffle?
Thank you, Mayor. And yes, ditto for what Susan had said. John, known you many, many years, and your involvement with our community. You helped everywhere, but didn't like to be recognized for it. So we're going to recognize a lot of stuff you've done for you. One occasion was when the county gave us some money for recreation improvements. John oversaw the project and gave his expertise to the Little League baseball concession building and stuff, and even pulled the permit to go there. And we spent all the money on the material, but he had workers volunteer their time. And John, again, donated there, as we heard from Rick Hutchinson saying that his expertise and direction on the Hope Harbor. But I mean, that's just the drop of everything what John's done in the community. And again, appreciate that. And with that, congratulations, Mayor, winning a second term.
Yes.
That's the first time. I know Lloyd Davis did it, but I believe it was 2 years service on when those elections were going on back to back. But you're going to be serving another 4 years. God bless you. God protect you.
Keep you.
That's what I would say right there. So.
Yes, that's right.
And again, Councilor Coughlin and Councilor Jackson, I knew early on. I said, oh yeah, they're a shoo-in. You know, no offense to the other candidates and stuff, but about halfway through, I want to say, pretty much right about it was end of January when we sat there. I mean, it was just always there, oh yeah, and then they wanted to know about Hooker and Carter and that Owen, and you know, I just said, man, we got a good team. And that was the other thing of what the community, what I heard a lot of was that we're making progress. You know, of course, there were some that were against the workforce housing and opposition of that. But I told them, we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. And of course, you know, my old neighborhood, they still throw stones and stuff because I'll throw every once in a while. I'll say, but I'm going to bring it back up for over there at the Mashbourne property. So, but anyway, I don't even go to that neighborhood anymore. I used to cut back there, but anyway, but again, thank you all for your service and coming on. I am a little envious and stuff because these three guys got a raise. Yeah, and I'm like, wait a minute. So I may be hitting up for $5 every meeting for each of you. Let's go from there. But and again, Chief, well, I was going to call like what Rodney said, but Hooker, and congratulations and welcome aboard. I really appreciate you being there. So Mayor, you mentioned something about all the water leaks that have been out, and there have been tons here since freezing times and stuff like that, and the crews, they are expedient in getting those repaired, 2 to 3 a day, and have the work done, covered up, and then that goes on to the street department that comes in and patches and puts the asphalt cold mix on it, and the repairs where I've had a couple of comments that said, wow, they got that fixed fast. And, you know, of course now fix the potholes in my neighborhood. I said, that's a different story, but we concentrate on the main thoroughfares. So an excellent job on all of that. So one event that I attended, two here recently, but what I was really excited about was ENMU Ruidoso. Last Tuesday, they had a show there with Todd Oliver and Irvin, the talking dog. Oh, man. YouTube that guy, Todd Oliver and Irvin. It was amazing that they had it here in our college. Of course, Spencer sponsored him and came in because I believe he did a show at the Spencer for the kids. But I was just amazed. And then again, our participation in the Ruidoso Municipal Schools Blue and Gold Extravaganza. Thank you all very much for participating and moving forward. So that's all I have right now, Mayor. Thank
How
you.
did we miss the talking dog, Doctor? Well, and your wife's part of the group now there, Coughlin, so I don't know how we didn't know about that. The talking dogs.
We don't talk.
Oh, you don't talk?
It was a great show. And you know, there was lessons to be taught for the kids, because I mean, it's an extraordinary story of how he talks of his dream, and
The dog or the owner?
Yeah.
both of them.
They both talk.
Both of them talk. I mean, literally talk. That's why I have to tell you, you got to YouTube them and watch them. But it was fun. There was a lot of kids there that there was some meaning to his message that he was saying, but it was really good. I want to say about 60 people in the news section.
Oh, wow.
And it was really nice, accommodating venue. Of course, Shippen said like that, man, this is a nice PA system they got going on here, but it was really well done, so.
All right, thank you. Dr. Jackson.
Mr. Mayor, I really don't have anything to add to what's been added. One thing personally I'd like to add, though, about John Cornelius is that he reminds me of a mentor I once had. He would sit in a room with a lot of others, and he wouldn't say much.
Yeah.
But when he did say something, everyone turned their head to listen because they knew it was going to be important and it was going to help us.
Yeah.
And that's what John does.
Exactly.
And the blue and gold, I think that's great. Again, when I think about it, sitting here, it seems like we've got a four-legged stool. We've got Parks and Rec, Street Department, Fire and Police. They're all working very hard. I know Paradise Canyon has become a thorn, but most people will respect the fact that they can turn on the faucet and it'll actually work. And they're to be commended for that. We're winding up for spring and summer. And again, a shout out to Counselor-elect Hooker for all the good he did with us and the different meetings that we attended. He actually surprised us all. Everybody likes a hooker, so that's all I have.
From Oklahoma, redhead.
Yeah, redheaded Oklahoma.
Councilor Coughlin.
Well, John, we're going to miss you. You're going to upset the balance to this side of the room because here I am in the middle of two quiet guys. You know, the things that we have to remember is there was a time when we were battling it out with the EPA, and the village asked you to go to those meetings because you're that calm person, rather than sending the mayor or myself there, which we'd get ourselves in deeper trouble. You know, you've done a lot. I'm gonna miss anything having to do with construction and utilities.
Yeah.
You're just you bring so much knowledge. You know, same thing, I wanna say that the election, I was watching the elections in many other areas, in some of our neighboring cities, and the mud that was being slung was just something horrible. But in this race, there wasn't one speck of dust that was thrown. I have great respect for Stephen Carter, Hooker. You know, we got to know each other a little bit better. The two of us were the only ones that were out there on election day waving at the cars and trying to see through the tinted windows who it was. What I found was, you know, I was amazed at the number of votes you got, Darren. But then I saw how that happened, because people would come up and go, so if you're elected to the council, does that mean you have to, resign from the police chief? So I think what he was doing is going out and saying, if you don't vote for me, I'm either going to arrest you or write a ticket to you, one or the other. I wonder, you know, John, you're going to leave an empty seat, and I wish that seat would stay empty, because that means Hooker's going to be sitting right next to me, and I got to deal with him. You know, I'm stealing your comedy, you know.
That's all we need.
But I really have to say that you know,
Start getting the hook and
yeah,
pulling you off.
I welcome Darren to the council. I think we will continue doing great things. This council has always been respectful of each other, even though we don't always agree. You know, and Susan and I are sitting on the employee policy committee, and I have to thank the directors that are Adam and Sam and nobody else that's here, so I don't want to forget people. I'm not going to say their names. But we've had some really, really good discussions, and having staff there to open our eyes to how things work really helps a lot, and we're moving forward on that, and we've got a little stumbling block that we're going back to, but we'll go on and continue moving on that, and I appreciate it. Alicia, Antelope, I mean, she's touched so many people's lives here in this community, and, you know, she's been on countless boards and countless volunteering and things like that, and she'll sorely be missed. Other than that, I can't think of anything else, so I think that's finally it. So I think it's time, moment shifts over to John to give his last.
And it will take 2 seconds.
I know.
There you go.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Well, I mean, just to assure everybody, you're not leaving town tomorrow. You're gonna be here for a little while.
I'm not.
You got some big houses to finish building.
Got one more.
One more.
And he still has the Wingfield house.
Still Wingfield. And
But if anybody else wants to build a really big, expensive home,
only $2
sign
million,
up John,
$2 million.
it keeps them here longer.
Well, thank you all. This has almost always been a pleasure on the working with you guys has been. And I think we've gotten a lot done. The administration and all these department directors are doing an amazing job getting money. And that's really helped with all the projects that we have going. And I have enjoyed it. I think you'll be in good hands. And this is, of the last 3 elections, this is the first one that was contested. You guys have run unopposed, me too, before. So it's nice to see some other people want to get involved. I hope that continues. So thank you all, and I will be around for a while if you want me to do anything.
Utility committee. We already got his name on that one. Thanks again, John. And everybody's right. You deserve that and a lot more. Okay, we'll move on to public hearings. Item number 1, small brewer liquor license only to be used at the business known as Hall of Flame Brewery, located at 2500 Suttereth Drive, Suite 12, Ruidoso, New Mexico. And so this is going to be a public hearing. And so if there's anyone here that wants to, I need to open it up to the public. And it's open. And so if there's anyone here that would like to speak on behalf of, I don't see anybody here from the brewery.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, we have Kyla Stoker is via Zoom. She's going to be representing the applicant.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. I am here via Zoom, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have, and I appreciate you hearing this application today.
Okay, does anyone have any questions in the public here or anybody online? Do you see anybody raising their hand, Ron?
No, Mayor.
Does anyone have any questions in the audience? Anyone on the council?
I just have one question. Small brewer liquor license, does that mean that they actually manufacture their own liquor?
I'm not sure. Is this just a brewer's license?
Yes, sir. So a small brewer's license under the New Mexico statute requires them to manufacture on site. They then have the ability to do 3 off-site tap rooms, which they do not have to manufacture at, but they will have to manufacture at their home brewery site, which will be this location.
Okay, and I think that the stipulation under state designation liquor includes wine, beer, and hard spirits, correct? Is that, because we have this from time to time. So you're not. Pardon?
A small brewer's license only allows you to brew and manufacture beer. However, there is reciprocity between New Mexico wineries and craft distilleries. So a small brewer can sell beer, wine, and spirits that are manufactured in the state of New Mexico.
Okay, so you can sell spirits without a full liquor license, without having to pay the additional hard liquor license. That we're just, because these licenses have changed so much in the last year that we're still trying to get our hands around it.
Yeah, me too. Don't worry. It changes every 2 years. Every long session, we have quite a bit of change. This one has not changed quite as much, but yes, the answer is yes. They can sell beer, wine, and spirits under this liquor license.
Okay.
New Mexico stuff.
Yep. Anyone else have a question?
But they can't dispense on site?
They can dispense on
They
site.
can.
It's on premises. They make it and can drink it, and then they are able to
And
sell.
then they can open 3 tap rooms?
Yes,
Okay,
they
got
can
it.
open up and then sell any other New Mexico-made product that has to do with alcohol, wine, things like that.
Interesting, okay.
I've got a question.
Go right ahead, Counselor.
Kyla, it's Susan Lutterman. I was just wondering, where is the brewery going to be set up? I know.
So that was part of the question at hand. So it was originally going to be inside of the existing building, which there's 2 levels. I'm sure you're well aware of the location. The location is actually going to be located at the same address, but they are building a new manufacturing facility on site. It's essentially in the back parking lot area. So it'll be a brand new building as opposed to an old building that has to be, modified quite a bit to manufacture inside.
Is that, are the parking lots, is that
Going to reduce parking.
the Hall of Flame Brewery's parking lot?
That's correct. It's owned by the same owner.
Yeah, same people that are building it out on their parking lot.
So it'll reduce parking on that property.
Right.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, so I had one addition to this application. The original address was 2550 Sutter's Drive, Suite 12. And with my conversation and email from the Alcoholic Beverage Control Division yesterday, it's 2500 Sutter's Drive, Building B.
Okay, is there a building B?
That is, Mayor Crawford, that's the building that they are going to be, a building that's going to be the housing, the brewery, in the same location.
Okay, so we're not doing something that's premature.
Mayor Crawford, no, I was, received this email, and the Alcohol Beverage Control Division is going to utilize, they're going to use the same application as the village received.
Has that building been permitted or approved? No?
Kyla, do you want to answer that question?
I am a liquor license broker in this instance, so I can't really answer any questions related to construction, but my understanding is that it is not yet completely permitted, and so we wanted to be able to find out whether or not we were going to be permitted to build and operate at this location. And so typically what a lot of the applicants will do is make sure that a liquor license is approved, and then they will begin construction. I believe that Mr. Espinoza may be on the line, and he may be able to answer questions related to when the permitting will be submitted. But for purposes of what I'm doing on behalf of Mr. Espinoza, I cannot answer the questions that you're asking. So it looks like he's here, if he can answer those for us.
Yes, can you repeat the question again?
We were wondering, because normally we permit these per location, and so the question was asked if we were getting ahead of ourselves since the building wasn't occupied.
There's no building.
And there's no building, there's no construction. How do we approve a beer and wine or liquor license at an address that's not constructed? And we were just seeing if there was anybody that had an answer for that. Do you know?
So right now we are under blueprint drawings.
Okay.
I have spoken with Ms. From
Samantha?
Samantha. We discussed the location. She didn't have any oppositions or objections to it. So we went ahead and proceeded with the application.
Okay.
Well, can I ask a question to Zach? Since this particular license is location specific for a building that's not built yet, but it's already got an address, I guess, that obviously if this building is never built, then the liquor license could never be utilized. So it would be a moot point in that sense.
Mayor,
to worry about it.
Mayor, if we can just hold up, I have one question before that's answered. Mr. Espinosa, when is your intent to start dispensing alcohol?
Our plans were to have it done by August, maybe right after summer.
So, more specifically, you're not going to start dispensing before the building is built?
Let's say mid-September. Would that work? September 15th?
Mr. Espinosa, are you going to not dispense until the building is built? Is that correct?
What's that?
You're not going to dispense until the building is built.
That is correct. And I don't think we can.
That's correct.
So Mayor, in regards to that issue, the building department and on other issues, well, they've built out different properties. We have issued the liquor license prior to. So, I would think that we would recommend that we do proceed forward today with the understanding that dispensing of alcohol would not occur until the building is complete and the CO of the building
Was
is
obtained?
So because
That is correct.
because the address of the liquor license will be different than the address of Hall of Flame, would Hall of Flame then have to be one of the tap rooms out of their three that they can do?
No, it doesn't.
They would need to utilize, if they're under a different suite, if Hall of Flame decides in their restaurant to sell alcohol of any type, they would have to utilize a tap room license because that is not part of the floor plan on the separate building.
Okay,
So this matter would only be specific to Building B and under the floor plan that the state of New Mexico has approved.
Mayor, in addition to that, we've seen where taproom licenses have been used before. They have to be able to demonstrate that the brewer's license are brewing. So, we would actually consult before we would make a recommendation for a taproom license to be issued.
And like the disposition of the spoils and all of that, like we've done in the other
Correct.
breweries?
Correct.
Okay.
So Ron, you said this is a completely different address than is on here. I don't see anything in our paperwork that gives that Unit B address?
Building B.
Building B?
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Coughlin, that was given to me yesterday by email from Desiree Grego. She's the administrative law judge, the hearing officer, and that is the Building B is the address that the applicant is going to use on this application, and she concurred with it, and she said she would amend the application to show the address of 2500 Sudworth Drive, Building B. So that'll be a new address.
Okay, so it'll be amended to have
Yes,
that address on
and the
there.
state will be amending that.
Perfect. I don't want to go and approve something when, you know, then they're locked into this other address.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions? I guess Samantha's got one. Yep, yep.
Mayor, council members, their official address will be applied for when the building permit comes in, so that is subject to change potentially. But as soon as we get those plans submitted, we can work with them on that.
Okay. Okay,
Did you have any public comments or letters? Sam, turn it off.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, the clerk's office has not received any public input or any comments via email or verbal or any letters. Thank you.
okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, we'll close the public portion. And then we'd like to see if we can get a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the small brewer liquor license only to be used as a business known as Hall of Flame Brewery, located as amended to 2500 Sudworth Drive, Building B as in Bravo, contingent on construction permits approval and occupancy.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Ron.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Eby,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Very much.
I bet. Okay, now we'll move on to regular items. I think we've all been handed a copy of the strategic plan. So item number 1 is discussion and possible action on 2022-2023 strategic plan.
Mayor, this is, the strategic plan was presented
Let's see.
in our 3-day planning process. The comments and recommendations of the governing body have been incorporated by department into this plan, so for your consideration and adoption, so our recommendation is
To adopt. Do we have a motion?
I move that we accept the 2022-2023 strategic plan as presented.
Second.
Okay,
Can you read through the plan so that everybody knows?
I'll start today and we'll finish next week. I was just trying to, what was this for?
That's our budget.
Financial report.
That's the financial.
And what was that needed for?
Mayor, we,
Gross receipts tax and production of, and some of the things you cited are in there.
And other things coming up.
Mayor, we put that budget book there, so if any items come up and if there's a financial matter, the council's totally informed of where the money's either cash balance or budgeted or whatnot.
Okay, roll call, Ron.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item number 2, discussion and possible action on ratification of purchase agreement. Commercial vacant land, 2021, located on the corner of Sudworth Drive and Country Club Drive, lots B, C, D, replats of lots 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, Block 13, Riverside Addition. Amended physical address is 100 Country Club Drive, 200 Country Club Drive, and 2116 Sudworth Drive in the amount of $1,900,000.
Mayor and council, as we've negotiated purchase agreements, and then as we work through those for transparency reasons, we bring it back into open session. We do have an appraisal that is going to be worked on, which will justify the purchase price. We have identified the resources that will be utilized for this. It is currently under, contract for us to purchase. The seller has accepted our offer, and our recommendation is to proceed forward with the purchase.
Okay, can I get a motion for approval?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve ratification of the purchase agreement commercial vacant lot 2021 located on the corner of Sudworth Drive and Country Club Drive, lots B, C, D, replat of lots 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, block 13, Riverside Edition amended. Physical address is 100 Country Club Drive, 200 Country Club Drive, and 2116 Sudworth Drive, in the amount of $1,900,000.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Ron, roll call.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeehaw. That's, I think, a good find for the village right
Yes,
there.
it is.
That's a great deal.
Okay, we have item number 3. Discussion and possible action on Watershed Advisory Committee recommended projects in the amount of $36,000. In lieu of Mr. Boyd being out showing our NRCS and everybody else around, we have Dick Cook.
Mayor, council members, these are 2 projects from the funds 217 that were collected with the WIBIT and the other activities around Grindstone. And based on the allocation, part of it comes to watershed and forestry, and this is where this money is coming from. The $36,000 we're requesting went through the Watershed Advisory Committee, and the 2 categories of projects are forest maintenance around Grindstone Reservoir and other village-owned property, and that's for spraying, regenerating junipers. And then 16,000 of it is for creating improvements that were recommended in the Grindstone Master Plan. Are there any questions?
Any questions? No, I think it's going to be good, and I guess some of those purple thistles will end up in there too. There's a bunch back there.
If we see some, we'll spray them.
Perfect. Okay, can I get a motion?
Mayor, I would like to take action on the Watershed Advisory Committee recommendation for this project in the amount of $36,000.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Final discussion. Roll call, Ron.
Counselor Letterman.
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Counselor Salas.
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius.
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
Counselor Jackson.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dick.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Whibbit comes through again.
Woohoo.
It's good. Item number 4, discussion and possible action on purchase from Badger Meter for endpoints for water meters in the amount of $477,427.50. Gross receipts tax is not applicable.
Mayor, Council, this is the endpoints that we've been talking about. The sunset period for these endpoints is December 31st, 2022. That is when they'll start taking the CDMAs off the towers and replacing them with LTEs.
So this is the 3G, the
5G.
5G. I mean the 3G going away, and these are going to LTE
Yes, sir.
for the island water.
Yes. For this, and this is for 7,200 units.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
And this is for, instead of meter readers, we're able to read the meter by doing this every month.
And iron water, people can actually see their bills with iron water.
And then
Yes,
people,
yes.
Yep, it'll save people if they have a leak and they're not at home. They can,
Right.
They can dial in and see it. And I believe somewhere, I think maybe it was in our last meeting, there's a 20-year warranty.
Yes, it renews a 20-year warranty for the endpoint itself. They did give us, this price is for, we are 7 years into our 20-year period of the endpoints we have now, so they did give us a prorated price.
Okay.
I can't believe it's been 7 years.
I know.
I don't think it has.
Doesn't seem like it.
I don't think it has.
But yeah, that's good to know, because 20-year warranty, sure. 5G's not going to be here 20 years, so.
I don't think our meters will either.
Neither will I.
Okay. Motion?
Oh, Mr. Mayor, move to approve purchase from Badger Meter for endpoints for water meters in the amount of $477,427.50 gross receipts tax not applicable.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, Ron?
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Letterman?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Thank you.
Austin, come
Thanks.
on down.
Thanks,
You're
Adam.
the next. Discussion and possible action on letter of operating agreement between the Village of Ruidoso, Sierra Blanca Regional Airport, and the Department of the Air Force 27th Special Operations Group, 27 SOG, Cannon Air Force Base, New Mexico.
Thank you, guys.
Hi, Austin.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Manager Dodge, over the last couple months, I've been seeking some new opportunities for Sierra Blanca Regional Airport. From a business aspect mostly, and to recover from the last event that we had. I'll go ahead and read through the items here. Sierra Blanca Regional Airport will permit 27 Special Operations Group, 27 SOG flying assets authorization to use Sierra Blanca Regional Airport for exercise training. Number 2, Sierra Blanca Regional Airport will provide adequate crash, fire, and rescue services during normal operating hours pursuant to Federal Aviation Regulation Part 139 and National Fire Protection Association Standard 403, Standard for Aircraft Rescue and Firefighting Services at Airports. Number 3, the 27 SOG will conduct FMP 22-3 on March 29th to the 31st, 2022. With forward command and control, adequate parking space and fuel will be provided for 2 MC-130s and 2 U-28 aircraft. Adequate operating space, water hookups, porta-johns will be provided for up to 75 personnel and equipment including tents and vehicles. Number 4, 27 SOG flying assets will land, park, and take off at Sierra Blanca Regional Airport from the 29th to the 31st of March 2022. Personnel will live and operate on site from the 29th to the 31st of March 2022, with a setup day on the 28th of March and teardown day on April 1st, 2022.
Okay.
In English, can you tell us what conducting an FMP 22-3 is?
So that's what they labeled this exercise event as.
Okay.
FMP. So essentially they're going to bring in 2 MC-130s and 2 U-28s as well as their ground crew, as maintenance crew, fueling crew. Essentially the people they need to support them during an event like this.
And I'm not familiar with the U-28. Is that, what type of aircraft is that?
So those are PC-12s.
Okay.
What's a PC-12?
Yeah, thank you.
A lot of the med flights that we have that come in are PC-12s.
So they're bigger, they're not
They're
smaller.
they're like a medium-sized aircraft. It's nothing too big.
Smaller than a 130.
Yes.
Everything is.
2 MC-130s will be the largest aircraft that we have parked there at Sierra Blanca Regional Airport.
So they're gonna, like, practice taking off and landing
And they'll do some air ops probably with some other surrounding bases in the air. But other than that, they're mainly looking to go to Sierra Blanca Regional Airport because it's considered high altitude, which brings in a lot of different factors for them to land and take off in the mountains.
I hope it's not windy.
Me too.
So Austin, I'm looking at the site plan, and on the access and movement route, what type of vehicles will be traveling on that route?
So they're going to bring in probably just some UTVs to transport people back and forth from the camp to the ramp. They may have a couple of Humvees. And I did mention up to 75 personnel and equipment. That number was based on a number of aircraft that were expected to come. A few of them have dropped out of it, so I don't think we'll be expecting that many.
That many personnel in there.
And the event that happened not too long ago that caused a few issues, I went ahead and incorporated this map with areas that should not be blocked and remain object-free.
Okay,
That way we don't run into a situation like that again.
right. Okay.
so we're gonna keep that road open.
Yeah, so they'll be able to move through it. That's the way that they're going to go and move through and operate. We'll just make sure that nobody's blocking anything at any point in time.
Right.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Y'all know what to do.
I make a motion to accept the letter of operating agreement between the Village of Ruidoso, Sierra Blanca Regional Airport, and the Department of the Air Force 27th Special Operations Group, 27 SOG, Cannon Air Force Base, New Mexico.
Second.
Discussion?
I'm looking forward to seeing those planes in the sky.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, since you know all their names, it's like an old reunion, and
I actually spent some time in a C-130 simulator.
that's Captain.
Captain.
Roll call, Ron.
Oh, one other question. Austin, can these fly guys pitch a tent?
I hope so.
That's what the support people are for.
I just wondered from the Army's perspective.
Counselor Letterman.
Aye.
Counselor Salas.
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius.
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
Counselor Jackson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Austin.
Thanks, Austin. Item number 6 was removed. Number 7, discussion and possible action on approval of the rules for the 2022 Ruidoso Adventure Tour sweepstakes, and we're looking forward to this one.
Again, good
Rodney.
afternoon, Mayor and councilors. So, before we start over the rules, I would just like to state that we had previously requested a budget from lodger's tax, which was then approved by the council in a previous meeting. That being said, we're just refining some of the rules from last season to update them and make some changes on how we propose to operate the sweepstakes this year. In the second paragraph, we're changing the type of tours that are offered. We are adding a fishing tour this year, which would include a few locations that they could visit in the county. We're also combining the 4x4 and the OHV tour because it could be completed essentially in either vehicle. And then we are removing the equestrian tour. And just a little supporting information on why we're recommending removing that is
Removing it?
removing the equestrian tour because there were issues just because of the location of the trailheads where we have equestrian trails in wilderness areas, very limited to no cell service. And that's, last year, that's the tour that we had the lowest numbers in. So we're removing that tour. The next addition that we're looking at is under eligibility, under bullet point number 5, we added the Director of Tourism on a Village of Ruidoso representative who's not eligible to participate in the sweepstakes.
Another perk that you're,
What about family members?
This is the only addition that we did.
Okay.
There's no other recommendation on family members. I don't recall the discussion on how we arrived at that last year.
Well, I'm just, I just thinking, potential squabbles,
I didn't think that like our spouses could participate.
well, I thought it was, to avoid the appearances of
Right.
impropriety, we didn't.
But it goes past spouses. I mean, with family members, it could be children, grandchildren, things like that, so.
Okay.
Mayor and council, my recommendation is that, that we don't change that. And, obviously, some people ethically aren't going to enter it. But, I don't think we need to exclude them. They don't have any influence in this process at all. Some of us that we have identified in this do have a direct relationship with running the program. So that's why we've included the people in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this year, when we do the randomizer thing, can it be a little more dramatic? Then you push a button and then it's there already?
Yes,
Can we
sir.
figure that out?
Like a drum roll.
Dun, 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 dun,
Could
dun.
let you push the button and nothing will happen.
Give the mayor a fake button and let him play with it while we're carrying on with the giving away.
No mic,
Keep
no
it
lights, no
tradition.
button, that's it.
Well, I mean, last year you pushed it and it was like, the number was there was no buildup.
It's like flipping the Christmas lights.
It's like,
Yeah.
We'll get you a Wheel of Fortune one.
Yeah, that'll work. I like that. Dun, 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 dun. Does anybody else have any questions on the rules, the drawings? What was changed specifically?
And I'm going over
Okay,
there,
go ahead.
point by point. The next change would be in the entry period. So the way we're proposing is this sweepstakes begins on March 12th, which again is the Outdoor Expo date.
Okay.
And it will end on October 1st. As many of y'all know, October 1st is the Aspen Fest, the first Saturday in October. And so we've reached out to the Chamber of Commerce on combining the event with that, the Aspen Fest after party in Wingfield Park.
Great.
I just realized this is why John didn't run for
right.
re-election, so
Yeah.
he could participate.
You got an opportunity.
I bought a Jeep, so now I can do it.
He didn't need the raise.
Yeah.
The next change would be on the second page, under drawing on the fourth bullet point. Again, we updated the deadline. The deadline to enter the sweepstakes is October 1st, 2022 at 10 a.m. The next bullet point is the live drawing will be held on October 1st, 2022 during the end of summer tours bash at Wingfield Park at 12:30 p.m. The next updates are to the grand prizes. We updated the 6 grand prizes. The first one is a fishing package that's a combination of a really nice kayak and some gift certificate to purchase some fishing gear. The second one is a Redoso vacation package with the value of $3,500. Third one is a mountain bike, the approximate value of $5,000. The fourth one is an OHV with an approximate value of $17,000. The fifth is a 2022 Harley Davidson Street Glide with approximate value of $23,000. The number 6 is an RV. It's a half-ton towable RV, so I mean, really, the majority of people could be able to pull it without purchasing a larger vehicle. So the approximate value is $31,000, and that's the limit of the change in under grand prizes.
And where are we getting that from?
It is from, it's an RV dealer out of El Paso, and they will be present at the Expo.
And will they have it there?
Yes.
Sure.
The plan
They're
is
pretty
to-
cool. You can
Oh,
Google them and
The plan
no
is to have
boundaries.
it there as well as some additional RVs
Yeah.
for sale. And I believe that's the extent of the changes that I'm recommending for this year's sweepstakes. I would like to note that it's not a change to the rules, but we're looking at some edits to the way that the individual run cards for people without smartphones. What we're recommending at this point, working through the final edits, is in the case or the instance that people don't have a smartphone, they'll pick up a run card from the Chamber of Commerce since they're open throughout the week and on weekends. My staff is going to visit with the Chamber of Commerce staff to update them on the procedure that I'm fixing to explain to you all. So at each of the individual tour stops, we're going to have a sign at each stop. It will also have a code on the sign as well. So if they do have a phone that's capable of taking pictures, they can simply take a picture of the sign, like a selfie of the sign. Or if they don't even have a phone that can take pictures, they can write down the code on the run card. The Chamber of Commerce will have a list of all of the individual stops along with the individual codes. And when they turn in their run card, the staff can verify that they either took a selfie or entered the code for each one of the stops.
Nice.
So you said a selfie, that they themselves have to be in that picture with the code? Because it seems to me like if they just took a picture of the code, they could just forward that to somebody else.
Yeah, that
Forward
is
that
true.
to somebody else.
Yes.
So they got to be in the picture.
So yes,
Yes, we would,
a selfie.
a selfie.
Good point.
With a pencil, when you write down the code, you have to draw your picture.
No,
Well, people always,
the codes are gonna be a unique code for each site. We do realize there's some possible ways that you could manipulate that, but, it's.
But they
going
still
to
get
a lot
one
of
entry
trouble.
per completion.
Yes, sir, that is correct. One entry per completion. Upon verification by the chamber staff, they retain those cards, and then on a weekly basis, they forward them to or we pick them up from their office, and then we forward that information to be manually entered as a completed tour.
Yeah, I suppose that's one entry per vehicle, not for all four people in the vehicle.
No, it could
One
be
entry per person.
person.
Oh, person, really? Okay.
How many people can you get in your new Jeep?
Per tour.
Not any with that flat
Per
tire
tour.
on it right now.
Yes.
Okay.
You can't have like 4 motorcycle entries, you just.
No, that's what I'm saying, but 4 people in a Jeep all get one for that tour. Yep, okay.
This is some pretty cool prizes. Looking at that trailer is really nice.
And it's budgeted at $110,000.
They have a Captain America bike too.
Yeah, I know. But you can't win it.
That's for the CF Moto. That looks pretty nice.
Since my wife
You want
was
one
in
of those to run
a
around
major
in?
motorcycle accident, has a whole new shoulder because of it, I'm not allowed to get a bike.
And that's, we purchased these through lodger's tax.
Yes, it was the funds that were approved through.
Or that,
Lodgers tax.
how much was it, 700 and?
Yes.
The
60,000
overall greater
overall.
budget was
Yes.
790,000.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay,
Nice job.
so after a bad experience on a motorcycle, she won't ever ride another one.
And I'm not allowed to.
But after a bad marriage experience, she went ahead and got married again. I think you're lacking consistency over there, Coughlin.
You're making assumptions, you know, maybe the last marriage was better.
Mayor,
Both could kill
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
you want a motion?
I would love a motion.
I'd like to approve the rules of the 2022 Riddle Adventure Tours sweepstakes.
second.
Okay, any other discussion? No. Thank you. Go ahead, Ron.
Counselor Letterman?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius?
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rodney.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, we're going to go into closed session. Can I get a motion to move into closed session?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we move into closed session for discussion of limited personnel matters, citing 1015-1H2 NMSA 1978. In addition, discussion subject to the attorney-client privilege pertaining to threatened or pending litigation in which the Village of Ruidoso may become a participant, citing 1015-1H7 NMSA 1978. And finally, discussion of the purchase, acquisition, and/or disposal of real property and/or water rights by the Village of Ruidoso, citing 1015-1H8 NMSA 1978. Any action taken as a result of the closed session we brought back into open session, and I so move.
Second.
Discussion? No?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd ask if we could invite Hooker into our closed session.
And I approve. Mr. Hooker, would you be able to join us in closed session? Since you have been duly elected and not sworn in, so.
We would also like to invite the chief, Judy.
Okay. Rodney gets to go home?
It's going to be.
Or back to work?
Get back to work,
Okay, roll
Ron.
call, please, Ron.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Letterman?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone.
We'll see you all in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That was a nice meeting.
Do we need these?